Starting. You are live. Don't say anything retarded. Oops, you said retarded.
On this show, we're going to say something stupid in about the first 5 minutes anyway, so.
Say something stupid, Brock. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, let me grab the link here.
It's not. Oh, we're live now. Rundown episode 307. Oh, yay, live chat. There we go. Let's pause that bitch. Pop out the chat.
There we go. All right. Let me grab his Facebook. I was going to turn away. I don't know why I would turn away. Never did it before. All right. Pop out the live chat. All right. And Rundown Wrestling Podcast. All right. Oh, that's a beautiful banner that we have there. I wonder who did that.
Yeah, it came out nice. I like that.
It's been something kicking around in my head for a while. I was like, I'm just gonna fucking ask him now that he's kind of given up the show for us. It's like, can we put something other than that fucking like, yeah, that's cool, but it's been there for years.
Yeah. That's the same thing with the theme song. I was like, that's the first thing I wanted to change when we switched this over. So,
right.
And then I was like, fuck it. You know what? Let me fuck around with it and see if I can come up with something. So, like I was saying, it gave me like looking up how to do the shit I wanted to do. It made the Audacity stuff a lot better. So
that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, dokie.
Chef never got back to me about Saturday either. He said he was gonna let me know by tonight. But I'm gonna post on his page, so hopefully he'll fucking see that and it'll remind him. Okay. So if you're watching this, Chef, fucking get back to me, because I know we're live. All right. And the right mics are on everywhere, right?
All right. He says it'll be done by the time we're ready for post the episode, so we'll see.
Oh, I didn't look at. Okay.
Yeah.
That means he totally forgot and he's going to do it right now.
Right.
Translation? Oops.
Oopsies. Oopsie doodly. All right. Uh-oh.
We should, on that sheet, feel free to update it once we change all the passwords on him so he has no access to his own shit anymore.
Oh, that would be great.
Go to Post Nitro Mania and be like, fuck?
So, I don't even think he's watching right now.
Of course he's not. He fucking quit the show. He's a quitting quitter.
It doesn't. I thought that there was a place that you could see how many people were on, but maybe I don't.
He said he always did. I don't know.
Oh.
I think maybe it's in the Hangouts, not the YouTube.
Oh, hold on. Let me check what we got here.
Because he never had the YouTube chat open or anything, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just us. It's only 31 subscribers to our YouTube. That sucks. All right.
Well, we don't put anything on there except the shows. So if they listen to the shows or watch them, then there's no real reason to subscribe to the channel.
True.
We start putting some new content up there, we can start driving people to it.
The only I subscribe to a couple of podcasts that do the live thing too, and the only time I ever look at it is if there's something like visual.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Pop over there.
So maybe I'm thinking maybe just do like some interviews on a cell phone at indie shows or something, just to have some stuff to put up there.
Right.
I don't know.
All right. I'm looking. Jesus Christ, he added so many different fucking wrestling promotions down here.
Well, I'll handle the APW one and the UFO one.
Okay.
Since those are mine.
I guess I'll do the rest too. So you're doing UFO?
Yeah.
and APW.
Yeah.
Which is Atlantic Pro Wrestling, I take it?
Yep.
All right. Good, they're right by each other. That one I'll just slip back to the end. Does he have me on there twice?
I think so. It looks like, yeah.
Why did he do that?
I think it might have been one from last week, and then we added this week's too.
Okay. Oh, no. So I'm reading it because he's got it after the Audible trial thing too. I mean, we already did them. Why do we do them again? They're not the full ones. It's just like later on during like the end plug things, he's got such and such on this date, such and such on this date, such and such on this date. But like we're going through them earlier in the show. So I don't know that we need that section of it. So I'm just gonna delete that.
Wait, hold on. Talk about burying the lead. We can get an Audible trial through here?
We'll talk about it on the show. It's a new thing.
It's part of the new era.
That's right. All right. Better late than ever. Let's go ahead and do this. Are you ready?
All right, ready.
In 3, 2, 1. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is a new era of the Rundown Wrestling Podcast. I am your co-host, Troy, and with me today is Jason.
It feels a little less crowded up in here tonight. I don't know.
It definitely does. We've decided to go. Yeah, we've decided to go starch free, so we got rid of the potato, and we've got a lot to talk about because that's what the show is. It's a once a week show, jam packed with all the shit that you want to talk about. So let's go ahead and get it out of the way right off the bat. It's time to talk about Joey Ryan's dick.
I feel like there should be some sort of an audio drop here or something.
Hey, you're going to be editing it? Go for it. Put it in it. All right. So the internet's been going a little crazy over the past, I would say, year and a half now, because professional wrestler Joey Ryan does a move where a guy will grab his dick, not his own dick, but Joey Ryan's dick. And because Joey Ryan's dick is so massive and so powerful, he is able to flip that person using nothing but his penis.
The penis plex, yes.
The penis plex, yes. And everyone's going crazy about this, saying that it's ruining the business and, it's exposing and stuff like that. But you know what? Chuck Taylor has been doing comedy matches for years. Santino Marella took a sock out of his pants, put it on his hand, and hit people with a Cobra Strike. And that was the finishing of it. This isn't ruining the business. It's a comedy match. It's funny. And you know what else? It's actually helping the business. Because nobody was fucking talking about Joey Ryan until they started flipping motherfuckers with his dick. And more people have been watching wrestling and watching his matches and also the rest of the card surrounding his match because he's been flipping motherfuckers with his dick. So I know the Cornets of the world, the Tuna Meltzers of the world, the fucking everybody else in the world sitting there and saying that, this is terrible. It's fine. You know what? He's not winning a championship with his dick. All right. He's Joey Ryan. He's always been kind of a comedy act. It's not that big of a deal.
So hold on, before I weigh in on this, we didn't touch on this yet, so let me do this. If you look on your YouTube page on the right-hand side of the thing, you'll have a little chat box there. We call it the Smathers Lounge, or at least we did. I don't know if we're going to change the name of it now. We'll see if Smathers shows up. But it's where you can share your thoughts, opinions, anything you want to say to the show. Tell us to go fuck ourselves. We don't care. But enter it right in there, and it'll show up for us. We'll read it on the show, and hopefully you'll appreciate our thoughts on your comments. In any event, back to your point, Troy. To me, it comes down to a philosophical difference. There are your old school wrestling people who will look at that stuff and the cruiserweight stuff and the light heavyweight stuff and the flippy stuff, and they'll say that's not wrestling because that's not the wrestling that they grew up with. And I know promoters who feel this way. I've heard people say this in locker rooms and things of that nature and bookers. And my response to that has always sort of been the same thing, which is like, that's the equivalent of opening an ice cream shop and saying, I only like vanilla ice cream, so I'm only fucking serving vanilla ice cream, and you can't get anything else here. You don't have to like it. There's a section of your audience that does, so fucking give the paying crowd what they want to see. to not do that, you're cutting off your nose to spite the face. I'm not a huge fan of the Joey Ryan penis stuff. It's good in very small doses, and it's done when it's done right. When it's done to the ridiculous, like I saw one where they did like a chain of 17 guys doing the penis plex.
Right.
Then it's just a little ridiculous. But as a stupid gimmick once in a while, I don't have a problem with it. Again, not for me, but I understand the attraction of it for other people. I understand that it has a niche audience, and I don't have a problem with it.
Exactly, and that's kind of the case I'm going with as well. Do I like it? No, because I think it's dumb. But do I think that it's ruining the business? Fuck no. Come on, get over yourself.
Well, okay, so there's an element to that for those people who still believe that, and I can sort of understand where they're coming from. For wrestling to work really well, you have to be able to suspend your disbelief. You have to be able to believe subconsciously or somewhere in a part of you that what you're looking at is at least somewhat credible. Bruce Willis isn't throwing Hans Gruber off the top of the Nakatomi Tower, but
all I'm saying is one of those guys is dead and the other one is not at this point.
But the characters aren't staring at you and laughing and pointing along the way. They're portraying it as though it's serious. This is sort of the same thing. What the Cornettes of the world want to put over is that you have to portray the business as being serious. Otherwise, the fans can't buy it, and it's not good for anybody down the road. And I sort of understand where they're coming from on that.
Okay. The way I look at it, too, is I used to be a fan of Adam Sandler movies.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then he did the same exact thing over and over again, and his movies are garbage. And I don't watch his movies anymore. Look at this the same way, where at first I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. He flipped to do this dick. Okay, that's kind of funny. Now he had a woman do it to him. And now it's, okay, now you're just flipping Mick Foley, who shouldn't be in the ring anyways. All right, that's kind of enough. But again, like I said, I don't rip my hair out of it because I watched a match where a motherfucker pretended to throw a grenade into the middle of the ring and get blown up. I mean, it's not for me, but I also don't think that that's the reason why people aren't tuning into WWE anymore.
No, and most of the stuff happens.
Why not turning in?
And most of the stuff we're talking about is sort of done on your indie shows where it's not really expected to be. The internet has sort of made this stuff viral. It's generally supposed to be just for the live crowd and to get a little buzz going for an indie promotion. YouTube has sort of made it so this stuff goes national as soon as it happens. There was one, I want to say it was over in England somewhere, where they did a like gay dance party in the middle of a match where the Backstreet Boys broke out and everybody started slow dancing and shit. It's a stupid gimmick in the middle of a match. It's for guys in a lot of cases who aren't your top flight performers, who are there to serve a purpose as entertaining the crowd with what they do. And in this case, it's one of those things where some people are going to like it, some people aren't. But again, you can't refuse to serve the crowd that wants it.
Yeah, there's also that kind of infamous match where Kota Ibushi has a kiss off with a dude, and they keep kissing each other, and there's just so many boners in the crowd. Anyways, we've officially spent way too much time on Joey Ryan's dick. So let's move on to the main event of the show, the WWE portion of our show. Let's get off this fucking indie shit. I guess we're going to start off with this.
I think we're going to start. Okay, you're going to go there. To me, the biggest story of the week is Baron Corbin.
If we want to do Baron Corbin, that means we got to listen to a Sal voicemail. Are you drunk enough to listen to a Sal voicemail?
I think for the sake of the audience, we should lead with the most interesting thing. So I'm willing to sacrifice listening to a Sal voicemail for this.
All right. Well, good thing I figured that you're probably going to try to do that to me because I got it already here for you. All right. Here is your Sal voicemail of the week. Uh-oh, it's not working. Hold on. Let's start again.
What's up, Jason and Troy? You leaders of the rundown. I wanted to call this week to talk about the story that everybody's talking about from SmackDown last night. And that is Baron Corbin has cashed in his money in the bank and he lost. he lost to Jinder Mahal thanks to a distraction by John Cena. And a lot of people on Twitter and the rest of the internet wrestling community was pissed off and on fire that Corbin lost. How could they do that to Corbin? How could they do that to the Money in the Bank? Guys, I don't agree with any of that. I think it was a shocking move. I think doing it the night before or the show before SummerSlam was key to take that storyline out of the equation, since every internet smart already booked Corbin to cash in on Nakamura. Now, as far as why it happened, if he doesn't please Vince backstage, if Vince didn't see something in him, or if he lost his appreciation for Corbin, we'll never make it work for the story. You know, he's going to come out with a lot of piss and vinegar to go at Cena at SummerSlam. And now Jinder and Shinsuke can have their match without any thought of Baron Corbin hovering over them. I love the idea that the Money in the Bank is not a guarantee. You have to make a smart decision. Baron Corbin did not do that. Talk to you guys later.
Either Sal was taking a gigantic shit or he was exercising because he was out of breath during that thing. Anyway, so we know where Sal lands on this. I think you're probably going to back him up a little bit. So let me give my take on this, and then we'll get to you. I don't have a problem with a failed cash-in attempt. Don't have a problem with it. We've seen it with Sandow. It sucked for him, but he had a great match, and if the booking would have been better for him, he could have propelled past that because he had such a good match with Cena. Cena won his match, but won by DQ. So I don't have a problem with that. The gimmick itself is always built in as it can happen anytime. If they wanted to just turn around and be like, look, we've got two of these, we can either do both of them cash in and are successful, both of them cash in and lose, which would maybe hurt the gimmick pretty much, or we can have one lose and one win. I don't have a problem with the Big Breakfast losing. My problem was the way he lost. Because as we were just talking about, being able to, to suspend your belief, your disbelief, he got rolled up and lost without taking a single hit of damage. This wasn't like Cena hit him, or even like Cena got back in the ring, AA'd him while the ref was waiting for Jinder to get back. It was literally he went and took a swing at Cena, got rolled up, and then I don't know if Jinder was supposed to put his feet on the ropes because he didn't. He just beat him. And now Baron Corbin has the record for the shortest WWE title match in history. So do I have a problem with him failing the cash-in? No. Do I have a problem with the way he failed the cash-in? Yes, because I think that it makes him look really dumb. And his character is that he's kind of aloof and cocky and doesn't care. That's fine, but I just didn't like the way that he lost, because I think that you're wasting an opportunity there, and we look back at the fact that, of what could have been with this match too, or with this briefcase, where we gave it to Baron Corbin to have him lose in 6 seconds, when that match had Shinsuke Nakamura, had Kevin Owens, who would have been a fucking fantastic Money in the Bank holder. It had AJ Styles. It had a lot of better people. It had Sami Zayn, who can't even get booked on the card at this point. So, I would have even been fine. And the other thing too is, I look at it as, okay, well, where do we go from here? Well, same old kind of thing. Jinder goes on to his match. Cena goes on to face the Big Breakfast, and either Corbin loses, which hurts him, pushes him further down the card, or he wins and maybe he can propel back and get into the title scene. But if he would have cashed in and been successful, think of what that would have done for SummerSlam. That would have created some intrigue, because now you've got, okay, well, now Cena suddenly has a title shot, and now Shinsuke and Jinder are sitting there going, well, wait, what about us? And obviously we don't want to do another Fatal 4 because we're doing that for the Universal title. But you can at least kind of build a story from there and kind of have these 4 guys be the focal point of, the main event scene going forward. So that's my take on it. I'm interested to hear what you got to say.
Okay, well, before we do it, let me just catch up on the side. We got Kenny Lockhart stopping by to say hello. wants to let us know that he was at Raw. I know it was in Boston. Kenny usually hits the shows up in Boston and says he's the next one's going to be Clash of the Champions in December, and I'm sure he's looking forward to it. And then says that Troy rocks. So you got a fan in Kenny. So now on to my thoughts on the cash-in. I know you kind of got some of my take because we discussed it in the host thread quite a bit. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I was a big fan of it for a couple reasons. Very subtle intricacies about the way it was done that were sort of brilliant. Starting with, at one point, while the referee's trying to get Jinder up, the camera is looking at Corbin, and you can kind of see him still looking back at Cena. And some people think that's a botch on camera, like he was just waiting for Cena to get up and kind of giving away what was going to happen. To me, that was his character portraying paranoia as Cena. He's got Cena on the brain. He's obsessed with Cena leading into this match at SummerSlam. And that Cena getting into his head allowed him or cost him his opportunity. To me, this makes the match at SummerSlam way more interesting. As for the schoolboy and not putting his feet on the ropes or anything like that, keeping in mind, in India, this is India's Independence Day, which he made quite a bit out of at the beginning of the show, and he's a face in India. So on this particular occasion, as a face in India, he didn't cheat to win the match, but he did it in such a way. A schoolboy is not a move that needs a precursor or a violent move to set it up. It's supposed to be a shocker. It's supposed to be a quick catch a guy off balance and he's almost shocked. So that didn't bother me either. I thought this was brilliant. I thought nobody saw it coming. We sit here and bitch and bitch and bitch that stuff is too predictable. It's too boring. We see it coming. We know what's going to happen. Nobody, not one single person outside of the guys in that locker room knew this was coming. Nobody would have guessed it. And it puts SummerSlam on a whole different level of intrigue than we had going in. A lot of people going into SummerSlam had the plot mapped out very easily. Corbin loses to Cena. Nakamura wins. Corbin cashes in on Nakamura. Then we go with Corbin and Nakamura going forward. That's all out the window now. Now you have to completely rethink what you thought was going to happen at this show. And I think that makes it interesting. This is what a go-home show should do. It should increase the questions going into the show. It should increase the anticipation and the I don't know what's going to happen factor. And that's exactly what they did. And they also did it in a way where future Money in the Bank people, you'll have to rethink about the obviousness of them becoming World Heavyweight Champion.
Right on. I will say this is the first time that an American crowd has cheered for Jinder, so that was nice.
I will also point out there have been 3 failed cash-ins in Money in the Bank, and all 3 have involved John Cena in some way, shape, or form.
That is true. That is very true. It did kind of continue that John Cena is a dick.
I didn't see it that way, but
he there was no reason for him to get back up on that apron.
I'm sorry. Didn't Corbin just cost him a match by hitting him with the briefcase?
Oh, he definitely did.
So
Corbin is a dick too.
So
that was the good thing about it is this. No, you're taking me because I'm normally so negative about it. You're taking me the wrong way on this. I'm happy with it because it's a different take on Cena. It's him actually having a little bit of revenge in him. He's not just, oh, well, I lost, like he has been in the past, where he hasn't even asked for title rematches. This was hey, this motherfucker cost me a match. I'm going to cost him this big opportunity, which would normally be a heel thing, but because it's Cena, So I was okay with it. With him being a dick at this and getting back up there and being like, I'm gonna fuck with this guy.
No, see, because we've absolutely seen this before. Think back to last year's Night of Champions. Cena beats Seth Rollins for the U.S. title. Seth goes to leave. Cena hits him with the AA on the outside, then throws him back into the ring before he gets to paralyze Sting. So, so Cena's displayed this hostility towards people who have screwed him over in the past. I mean, Seth broke his nose. He had a lot of personal issues in that feud, and it came out in the same kind of way in that. So I thought it was cool. I think this is nothing out of character for Cena, and I thought it was good. I am 10 times more interested in what happens with Baron Corbin going forward now than I was before the cash-in. I'm 10 times more interested in the title match now than I was before the cash-in. So they accomplished everything they needed to accomplish on a go-home show, and all it cost them was the Money in the Bank briefcase. And at the end of the day, if Corbin was going to be world heavyweight champion, he's still going to be world heavyweight champion somewhere down the road. They're just going to get there in a different way. And I'm fine with that. We're telling stories, people.
Yeah, that's true. And another thing too is we've had far more interest in the ladies' Money in the Bank than we have in the males.
Exactly.
You know, Corbin carrying that thing around hasn't really felt like he's been dangerous with it that much. You know, there was when Seth had it, you constantly thought, this is it. He's cashing in. He's cashing in. This is it. So, you know, Baron coming down there. And the other thing too is, you know, last week, Jinder Mahal was laid out in the middle of the ring and there was no Baron Corbin to be found.
Right.
And that same night, Naomi was laid out in the middle of the ring. No Carmella to be found. So,
no. Naomi was laid out after losing a match to Carmella. That was what made it even dumber. All Carmella had to do was hand the fucking briefcase, pin her again, and go, okay, I'm a champion now.
You're like, oh, I did this once already. She's still out. Maybe I'll get a couple more forearm shots into her.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty bad.
And I will say this, to my point that it's a storytelling device, if this was simply a case of we don't want Corbin to have the briefcase, we're sick of Corbin, what the internet rumors are reporting, oh, we didn't like his Twitter activity. If it were a case of that, I would say to you, if you believe that, if that's what it was, they would simply have had him defend the case against Cena or somebody else and lose the case. They would keep the case in play and take it off of Corbin because they've done that before. Ask Mr. Kennedy. So the fact that they had him unsuccessfully cash in tells me that this was done very specifically to be a storytelling item, a storytelling mechanism.
We're always waiting. We're always looking for a reason behind something. And that's kind of the thing was where it's easy for us to turn around. He's got to have heat on somebody. Oh, he must have heat on somebody. Oh, Sasha Banks was on 205 Live. She's got to have heat was on somebody. But no, that wasn't the case. They're trying to get more eyes on 205 Live. And this here, do I think he was somebody? No, because that would have been really quickly for them to sour on the guy. And they keep pushing him. So, it's the only thing that I was really disappointed on with this whole thing was the fact that he was still wearing a shirt, so we couldn't see how sad his chest was,
But he ripped it off at the end, so we did see it.
Oh, that's true. And it did look sad. He was like crying Jordan.
It's a very sad belly button. How has somebody not photoshopped crying Jordan onto his belly button yet? That needs to happen.
Somebody has. Somebody has. I have it. I could send it to you.
Yes, let's do so.
All right. So we're going to go from that. Let's go ahead and round out the Jinder storyline here. Jinder's opening promo was the shits. It was bad. I get what they were trying to do because it was the Independence Day for India. That,
it was the shits to us, but it wasn't directed to us. It was directed to the Indian audience.
Right. Like, did I care about that chick singing? No. It was annoying, but yeah. But I'm not Canadian. Oops. I mean, I'm not from India. So yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. We'll get to it when we do our picks. I think this is the last time Jinder's got that championship. So.
I have a totally different theory on that, but we'll get to that later.
Oh yeah, we will. All right, so looking through the whole rundown here, I don't want us to go for very long without talking about something sexual. So let's talk about fisting. So again, we have Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose doing this whole back and forth. They have a whole promo where Seth says, I'm not the same guy from 3 years ago, and he extends out his fist. Dean doesn't take it. And then Dean kind of talks a little bit. He extends his fist. Seth doesn't take it because he's a dick. And they go back and forth. And then we've got fucking Sheamus and Cesaro come out. And they attack them. And then we get a little house cleaning. And we get a little touch on the tips. We get a little touch on the tips. And we finally fist. He finally gets it in there. And the crowd goes crazy. So much so that a fan dropped his phone on the outside. I feel bad for him. At least nobody stepped on it. I will say that.
And no lube either, which just sounds painful.
Yeah.
So I liked so certainly they were on to something because the crowd fucking went nuts when they finally touched fists. Yes. That was the moment they were fiending for the whole time. I thought both guys kind of looked stupid with the, all right, I'll hold mine out. No,
Yeah.
now you're holding mine out. No, now I'm not going to do it. No,
Mhm.
no, yeah. You will, you won't. You will, you won't. It was really kind of dumb. I would have maybe done that once, and you could have been done with it there.
we
But
did it last week.
yeah,
You know,
same deal.
so yeah. I mean, it was at this point. It should have just been, this is what says one of the entire time. So as soon as Dean does it, like, come on, man, like that should be the time. It
Yeah,
just
to me, the dumber part of this whole thing is that two guys who haven't teamed together in 3 years become the number one contenders to the tag titles because they bumped fists.
Mhm.
That's it. If you're the Hardys, you're sitting there going,
Wait a second.
okay. If you're the club, you're like, I fucking left Japan. We bump fists every time we come out to the ring. Why don't we get a fucking title shot? I would have liked to, and we've talked about this on the show before. I'm not a fan of the fact that nowadays we wait until the go home episode of the show to book fucking title matches.
Yes.
There's no build to this. They've sort of built to it, I guess, without actually having a match announced. And to me, that's sort of a back-asswards way to do it. Announce the match and then tell this story, and you're in a far better place because there are higher stakes to this story. Well, these guys have a tag title match at SummerSlam. How can they coexist? Can they get along? And then you tell that story. To grant them a title match that they didn't have until they bumped fists is just idiotic booking.
Mhm. Agreed. And I mean, what were Sheamus and Zard coming out there for anyways? Just let those two guys fight each other and be done with it. I mean,
yeah,
it's
we
like
don't
what
like
you-
these two guys. They're kicking the shit out of each other, so let's go out and stop them from kicking the shit out of each other. Huh?
don't give them a common enemy, you idiots.
Yeah. The storytelling on this angle has been horrible anyway.
Mhm.
But speaking of things that weren't horrible, surprisingly not horrible, Nia Jax and Sasha Banks had what was actually a very good match on Monday night.
It might have we might have seen the best move of the year in that match, and that was the tornado DDT into the bank
Yes.
statement.
Beautifully done.
Oh my gosh, these are two people who we've seen fight before, and we haven't seen the stuff that they were throwing at us in this match.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yes. And when you said the move of the year, I thought you meant the kid who slapped Alexa's ass on the way out.
That's second place. That's the second best move. Because them some balls, man. That's a lot of balls out of you there.
If you haven't
do
seen
that
it, you can go Facebook, or Google, YouTube, whatever. Little 13-year-old looking kid as Nia's carrying Alexa back, just full on smacks Alexa right on the ass, and
He made
Nia
it
sort of
jiggle.
shoves her away. Yeah,
He made that ass jiggle.
yes, he did. And millions of grown men were jealous of a 13-year-old boy.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It was so good.
I still can't
All right.
believe she's with that fucking dude from the Gunner twins there. One of the Nelson brothers. But yeah, no, the match was tremendous, and I didn't expect it. They've had some matches in the past, and they weren't the cleanest, the
Mhm.
most, but this was really good. There were a couple of spots where I thought Nia was a little, but for the most part, they covered everything up. Sasha made her look like $1 million. They played into the sort of David and Goliath aspect beautifully. Sasha's hometown crowd behind her made the thing even more compelling. By the way, P.S. Sasha, I love the Boss Town with the Red Sox kind of motif. I thought that was a excellent touch. But yeah, I loved the whole thing. I didn't think I would say that. The only thing I did not love was somehow portraying Alexa as having a throne by sitting on a fucking lifeguard chair that's spray painted silver.
Yeah.
That was fucking awful. I know they're cutting budget stuff here, but if you have to cut budget so bad that that's the best you can come up with for a throne for the goddess, don't fucking do the angle.
This is a company that literally has an entire wing of their warehouse dedicated to thrones.
Yeah.
Like there's Triple H's throne from WrestleMania.
Booker T.
There's the last 15 King of the Ring thrones that we've had.
The one belonging to King Booker.
Yeah. Like really, guys, this is what you could scrounge up. My gosh. Oh boy.
It just it looked very God, what's the word I'm looking for? B movie. but cheap props, and it's not what the WWE does. What sets the WWE apart from other things? They don't have the best in-ring wrestling product, and we'll get to some of that later. What they do have is the best production values, the best realistic use of props and things of that nature. And they're starting to cut the budget, and that's apparently where they're cutting those things from. And that's going to be a problem for them, because now the one thing that they're doing better than another particular company we're going to talk about, they're not doing better than them, or much better than them anymore. So things are going to start getting interesting for the WWE if they don't buckle down a little bit.
That's very true. That's very true. And that's a lot of the reason why a lot of people watch WWE. And that's the reason why, partially why, WWE won the Monday Night Wars too, was because once they figured out a certain production way of doing things that was really good. While WWE had more money to them, their stuff still didn't look quite as polished as WWE's production. And, so yeah, if you're starting to do things like the fucking, local shindy down the street is doing, where they're getting a lawn chair and being like, it's his throne.
Right.
No, it's not good.
Yeah, this was not a good look for them. But what was a good look, and we touched on it in that discussion, and let's just jump into it because it's not something we talk about a whole lot this week. Last weekend, New Japan held the finals of the G1 Climax tournament. I don't know if you follow much of that, Troy, but I will say this. Two of the best matches you're going to see this year in the same weekend, as Kenny Omega finally got over the hump, finally defeated Kazuchika Okada in their third match. Little varying opinions. Some people thought it was better than the first two. Other people thought it was good, but not as good as the first two. I enjoyed it more, I think, because it was the shorter time limit. They had a 30-minute time limit in this match, and the result was a lot more fast-paced action, a lot more get their stuff in quickly than kind of dragging it out, not a lot of rest holds. The action constantly moved, and I just kind of enjoy that more. Of course, Omega gets the victory, but for the whole G1 tournament, all we kind of heard was everyone speculating that, hey, Omega's going to win it. They're going to set up Okada Omega 4 at the Tokyo Dome and blah, 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 and we're going to get the big finale. And this is what makes New Japan interesting. And unlike the WWE, they set up this story for an entire year and then go a different fucking way on you. As in the finals, Tatsuya Naito defeated Kenny Omega in what may have been better than the Omega Okada matches. This match was fucking outstanding, complete with faked botches. They went for a pile driver on a table and made it look like they accidentally missed hitting the table and went down to the floor. But if you go back and watch, they very specifically moved the guardrail out of the way to create enough room to miss the table. So this was a planned botch, which to me is just bonus fucking points for that. That's the level of creativity you don't see very often.
It's a hard thing to pull off. We're still. I still remember the moment in the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens match where we're still not sure if it was a planned botch or a real botch.
Yeah.
So more power to them. And my only issue sometimes with New Japan is the Tuna Meltzer effect, because the guy pumps this stuff up so much that you go into it thinking, I'm going to watch the greatest thing ever, and anything less than that's going to be a little disappointing. But if you go in dry, like fucking Seth Rollins did with his fist, you can enjoy it a little bit more, because you're going in not being like, this is a 6-star match, it's going to be fucking awesome. If you just go in being like, oh, I wonder what's going on with these guys, you can enjoy it a lot more. And my other point on this is, tell me if you have anybody that you can think of that has a better dropkick than Okada.
Mr. Perfect did, I think. Mr. Perfect is probably my all-time favorite.
Sorry, let me preface that with, tell me somebody who's alive.
Okay.
That's a better, because Okada's got just a beautiful. He's the height on it, and
and he's a tall guy too. He's got a long way to get up there. So, no, he's amazing. And the in-ring product in New Japan is just far superior to WWE. And I'm a WWE mark, don't get me wrong. But when you look at move for move and the level of storytelling and the taking, what people always talk about with wrestling is taking the fans on an emotional ride. And New Japan does that better than anybody right now if you watch those matches. The one problem I have with New Japan, and I've been saying this for a while, and I understand that I'm sort of in the minority on this one, because everybody goes crazy over strong style. And strong style is fine. But I'm watching these matches now. These guys had like 16 matches or 30 matches in 16 days or some ridiculous fucking shit like that. But I'm watching these like reverse Ranas on the ring apron where the guy just gets spiked on the top of his fucking head. Unprotected headshots. This is like, knowing what we know today, I fucking cringe multiple times watching these matches. I enjoy the product. I enjoy the work. I enjoy the sacrifice these guys make. But watching some of that gets very difficult sometimes, just seeing what these guys are doing to each other, especially in contrast to the return of, oh God, now I'm going to forget his name. God. Shibata, who made a surprise return during the G1 just out in front of the fans. This is a guy who almost ended his life by an unprotected headbutt to Okada. Like almost literally died from a hematoma on the brain.
Yep.
Probably never going to wrestle again. Although
could have been paralyzed.
Yeah.
You
look at that stuff and then you look at some of the other stuff these guys are doing, and it's like, I love the entertainment, but for the health and well-being of these guys, I wish somebody would rein them in just a tiny little bit. Maybe a few less unprotected headshots. I get you want to be strong style. I get all that, but just on some basic human compassion shit, it's hard to watch sometimes.
Not to mention, you're getting that in the second match of the show.
Yeah,
you're getting that in almost every single match, which one makes it feel less special, but also makes it where that each guy then feels a need that they've got to outdo the next one. And that's when you start really getting into it, where you're going to cause even more injury, because here's this guy who's the match before the main event, and he's going, oh, these last guys, they did this gigantic, suicide headbutt and all this stuff. Well, I got to do better than that. So I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to cut my fucking head off in front of the crowd.
See, I can't play the hypocrite role on this, because I said last week I want guys to go out there and try to have the best fucking match on the show, whether they're first, second, or third. I want them to try to outdo the main event. And that's what these guys do. And to me, that's what makes the show compelling. The other thing I don't like about it is way too many 3 and 4 and 6-man tag matches. That shit needs to be curtailed a little bit. And they do a lot of that, similar to the Mexican style lucha libre, but yeah, I enjoy the fact that these guys are going out and every single person on the card is trying to outdo everybody else and have the best match. And then if that forces everyone else to raise the bar, then so be it. That's what I want more of in the WWE.
Yeah, but raise the bar storytelling wise in match. Raise the bar in terms of everything else around it. You don't have to kill yourself to have an amazing match.
Oh no,
and that's I think a lot of them revert back to that as, we're just going to do this giant spot and we're going to be more memorable. Where instead, if you put on a 15-minute match where you tell an amazing story, you're going to have so many more people who are going to be like, that was a great fucking match,
right.
Instead of just, someone else is going to look at another match where there's a gigantic, a guy threw 4 tables. That's all they're going to remember of that match. They're not going to remember anything else about it.
Yeah.
But if you put on a great match, you've got storytelling, you're going to have guys going back and forth, be like, then he did this, and then he did this, and it was like back and forth. That's the stuff that you'd rather have. You want to be more memorable for the entire match, not one spot.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I sort of agree with that too. But I think it is fair to give them credit and say, as they continue to try to push further and further into the U.S. market, that they could be, we've talked about it for a long time since WCW died, can anyone ever come up and be true competition in this country for the WWE? Given a few more years, New Japan has the capability, and they have an American talent at the top of their show who may very well be the best wrestler in the world right now in the form of Kenny Omega. That guy does stuff that nobody else can do. And I shit on the Young Bucks all the time. And I don't hate their offense. I hate the fact that they don't sell. For me, selling is still a big thing. You've got to be able to make your opponent look good by making their offense look stiff and look good. Kenny Omega may do that better than anybody else because everybody that's in there with him looks 10 times better for being in the ring with him.
Yeah. The other thing too is, New Japan is one of those organizations where you can instantly hop in and know what's going on. Whereas, if you try to hop into episode 4 of Lucha Underground, you're not going to know what the fuck's going on. But New Japan tells the stories in the ring so much and doesn't rely on as more of the like in-ring talk segments and backstage interviews and stuff like that. So yeah, you can jump right in and understand what's going on and understand what the guys are about.
Right. And everybody constantly gives WWE and Vince McMahon credit for taking guys that other people didn't do anything with, and they highlight the Eric Youngs of the world, the Samoa Joes of the world, the AJ Styles of the world. Those guys were all champions in TNA. So TNA did put them at the top of their show. Now go over to New Japan and look at guys like Cody Rhodes, look at guys like Juice Robinson. These guys are having some of the best matches in the world because they're being allowed to. They're not being told to bury their offense. They're not being told to go out there and do it in 5 minutes. They're given a blank canvas and told to paint a masterpiece, and they do it. And I think if WWE took the reins off some of these guys, we would actually get maybe the chance to see who actually are the most talented guys on the roster.
I think all you have to do is say the name Matt Bloom.
Yeah.
And look at the difference between Matt Bloom and New Japan and A-Train.
Yep.
And then that's all you need to see. All right, so let's keep it Asian and let's go with the Cruiserweight title. So the Cruiserweight title changed hands on Raw.
Yes.
Not on 205 Live.
Nope.
On Raw.
Because they wanted people to see it, and they know nobody's watching 205 Live. I'm sorry,
true.
205 Leave.
To leave. Yeah. Get out of here. Go home.
Because that's what half the crowd does. Yeah, I don't know why, and I'm going to say this just to piss you off. I don't know why they give this away on free TV, especially when you know that the match is already scheduled for the pay-per-view. The only reason to do it the way they did it is that the plan is to hot title the title back onto Neville at the pay-per-view, because there's really nothing for Tozawa to do with that title. He's already done the feud with Kendrick, who's the only other real top-flight heel on 205 Live, and they tried the title on him, and it didn't work. Neville still has things he can do. He can still do a feud with Cedric Alexander. He can still do a feud with maybe an Enzo Amore. There are things you can do with the title on Neville. I can't see a thing you can do with the title on Tozawa short of having him drop it back to Neville, which is where I think they're going.
And it's just going to be the Sasha Banks Charlotte storyline all over again.
I don't think they're going to go multiple times. I think this is Tozawa's one-off.
I don't see the point of it, and I don't see why I should watch 205 Live then. If the titles are not even going to change hands or not even be defended on the show.
Well, we've talked about it. I loved the Cruiserweight Classic. I was a huge mark for the Cruiserweight Classic. Dave totally and completely mishandled their Cruiserweight division. And we've talked about the reasons over and over and over again. The biggest reason, of course, being that they don't want their Cruiserweights outshining their heavyweights, so they neuter their offensive style. And that's what gets the fucking Cruiserweights over. You go back and think of the WCW days when Cruiserweight wrestling became popular here in the country. First off, Eric Bischoff was smart. He let these guys go out and do whatever they did. And look, maybe guys get hurt. I get a whole wealth of guys in Mexico I can go pull from if I need to. Go out there and bust your ass and hopefully, come back healthy. It's a shitty attitude to have as a promoter, but I also understand it. And he also had the forethought and smartness to take those guys who they knew were high energy and put them at the beginning of the show every single week and get the crowd pumped up and ready to go. Vince has them buried in the third hour where people are already tired and not watching, or at the end of SmackDown where nobody gives a shit. They're placed poorly. They're given too many handcuffs to try to work around. They've at least gotten rid of the purple ropes on Raw, which is an improvement, I guess. But they've presented them as the junior varsity. It's been a nightmare and a mess from day one, and it's really incredibly frustrating because it's just such simple shit that they could do to fix it.
I mean, start off with just put them at Full Sail, because that at least you're going to have a crowd that's going to enjoy these guys. You're not having a SmackDown crowd who are just like, we have to sit through this shit so we can watch John Cena again. Come on.
I've heard that theory, and I could just interrupt because I want to tell you why that doesn't work. You can't do anything with them. You can't put them on a pay-per-view on Raw if the Raw crowd never sees them.
I just think at this point, 205 Live is kind of useless because it seemed like they were starting to fix things when Neville became champion, because then you had an actual person that
Credible.
might make you tune in. Yeah, you had a credible guy who might make you tune in, and having him lose to Zawa, who's not even over really in just kind of I guess the title changed hands. But to instantly have it be that, oh, hey, by the way, they're just going to face each other at SummerSlam again, like,
In a kickoff.
it's in a kickoff show. Yeah, not even on the main card. There's just so many more things that you could do with it, and there's so much talent there that's just being wasted.
Well, then again, speaking of wasted talent on the kickoff card, it looks like we're going to have the probably what could very well be the best match on the show on the kickoff, as they've moved now the Usos and the New Day to the pre-show, which for my money could very well be the best in-ring match we're going to see that night.
It's not only the best in-ring, it's not only potentially the best in-ring match, but it's also one of the hottest feuds. These guys have been doing great work week after week.
Yep.
Finally somebody wised up enough and beat the shit out of Big E while he was doing his fucking promo to start him off, because how many times he said, he's like, he's just sitting back there on a mic, just fucking attack him. And then for the Usos to come back the next week and fool the entire crowd with their whole SmackDown. He sounded like Big E. He did a great job on that. But then again, we've got two guys that a year ago, when these guys were feuding each other, nobody cared. But the Usos have come such a long way, and the New Day have continued to put on a great show, that this is really, very well could be not only one of the best matches, but also one of the hottest feuds going forward.
Yeah, and they're sending it on the pre-show. So, I've been a fan of the Usos since day one ish. They've always. Again, when I think of great tag team matches, I immediately flash back to the 2 out of 3 falls match with Harper and Rowan, which I think was one of the better in terms of great falls finishes. There was sort of a surprise. I think everyone thought Rowan and Harper was winning that match.
Because it should have.
Yeah, well, you can make that case. But in any event, there was suspense to it. There was emotion to it. It was great. And then you look at their feud with American Alpha. Those matches, the feud was not good because they didn't give him any time. But the in-ring matches were top fucking notch. And you're seeing the same thing here with the New Day. So this is the match I might be looking forward to the most on the show. If it's great, I might be able to go to bed early, which is nice.
There you go.
So, but yeah, I'm just shocked that they're putting that when you look at some of the other matches that could be moved to the pre-show.
Oh yeah, and we'll get to those matches because there's a lot of them. Do we really need to see Randy take on Rusev on the main card? No.
Now, speaking of giving away stuff on free TV, we had a match this week on Raw between Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt, which I don't know how you feel about it, Troy, but for me, it didn't do much to make me anticipate it. It seemed like it was just a vehicle to announce that the Demon was going to be there, which to me, by the way, do we still have that cash bet from last week if the Demon's going to show up at SummerSlam?
No, we don't.
But no. Okay.
No, we don't. We talked about it. We never agreed on it. And why is that? Because the fuck, not only is the cat out of the bag, but it's been grabbed by the tail and slammed against some rocks. Because they're like, they've been teasing it for a little bit, like, oh, maybe. And then we have a fucking article on WWE.com. Balor going to introduce his demons to Bray Wyatt. Like, fuck off, man. Like, this is you can't even, why don't you just go ahead and put up an article saying Balor decides what he's going to do after he beats Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam. Like, we all know this is going to go this way. And wait, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, the Demon thing was supposed to be kind of like a surprise because maybe we haven't seen it in a while. I think they're just like, nah, fuck that. We'll just tell him it's going to come out.
This is also the same company that debuted him and showed him to us on the main roster, just in a random run-in before SummerSlam last year, instead of hyping the suspense and anticipation of seeing it at the big show. So,
I hope he doesn't come out with that fucking Demon King written all over his leg.
Well, they didn't say Demon King. They've only said the Demon. So I think maybe they finally caught up to that being stupid, which hopefully.
That's because their other demon is running for fucking mayor, so.
Yeah, well, maybe they finally realized Demon King and Demon Kane sound way too close together.
Maybe.
But clean win for Bray, gets the 1, 2, 3. Then in one of the corniest fucking things I've seen in a while, pours red paint over Finn, who is then told by his bosses to act blinded, like this is sapping his strength and his power, and it's like almost like he dropped acid on him or something. Just really bad storytelling. When Edge and Christian and Gangrel were doing bloodbaths, the guys were outside on the floor and were almost shocked and disgusted that they were covered in blood, but they weren't acting like they were in pain.
No, they acted like, what the fuck happened? What are they doing to me? What's on me? Ah! Yeah, they weren't going, oh my God, it hurts. Oh. Unless the only thing I can think is that after he poured the blood on him, he went, by the way, Finn, that's AIDS blood.
No. We found out from Michael Cole later it was viscous acidic liquid.
Yeah. So he threw acid on him. Well, I'm sure Balor's going to look fine at SummerSlam. Unless they're going to start a new like Goldust gimmick where he's covering up his fucking scarred face or something like that.
Yeah, they've handled Finn, they've handled Bray wrong for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It should be a good match. I'm looking forward to seeing the match. But when I say, and I know you don't like the phrase "give it away on free TV," when I say that, the reason I say it is because my anticipation of this match is now lessened because I've seen it the week before on TV. So
you haven't seen it with a demon.
Your entire story has been building towards this match at SummerSlam, except now you've shown me the match before I ever get to SummerSlam. And yeah, there's a little bit of an element of something different with Finn Balor and the Demon, but from a selling point, from a marketing point, it just doesn't, there's nothing there for me to get excited about now because you've already shown it to me.
Yeah, I agree. And we've talked about it before. While I don't like the term "give it away on free TV," I also don't like when we do matches that we're going to see at the pay-per-view before the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
I won't use that term, but I will use the fact that I liked it so much more when we just kept guys away from each other, or we did segments where they would interact with each other but not be in a match together.
Well, that's really all the phrase "give it away on free TV" means, is that we're showing nothing is saved to be special anymore. Everything is just kind of thrown out there, and it is what it is. And for the record, this is the kind of shit that WCW was doing that put them out of business. They didn't leave anything to be special. Everything was given away on Nitro. You know, Hogan and Goldberg the first time for the title. Goldberg's first title reign wasn't saved for a pay-per-view. It was given away on Nitro. That's the formula that helped put WCW out of business in the long term, and WWE is starting to follow that very formula, and that's bad for business.
Right. Oh well. I guess we'll be free on Thursdays after this shit goes on to business. So,
well, no, we'll just become a New Japan show.
Oh yeah, there you go. I'll just have to learn Japanese.
Well, if you don't take lessons from Titus because he didn't realize that bye-bye in Japanese is sayonara.
Fucking idiot. So he's just a manager now, right?
Like, it seems that way.
Like, I know he can't wrestle, but can he not wrestle? Like, is he hurt? Or do they just realize, like, look, this guy sucks as a wrestler?
No, I think he wrestled a few months back against Braun as part of the kind of Apollo, beat the shit out of Braun, and then Titus said, I'll show you how to do it. So it's not that long ago he wrestled, but he's definitely being used more as a mouthpiece now.
Speaking of somebody who hasn't wrestled in a while, hey, Apollo Crews, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, he runs out to take good selfies, though.
Yeah.
This is that. Yeah, celebrate other people's victories.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of things that have just been driven into the dirt, the Fashion Peaks finale. So this shit just isn't leading anywhere now, right?
I think, again, I continue to think this is leading to Authors of Pain. If you followed, they said something to the extent of dark days are ahead for the WWE tag team division. There were all sorts of nuggets that there is still something to come. This was just done in a way to tell the story of the Fashion Police, the Fashion Peaks part of it ending, and they're going to go to some different fucking parody with the same guys.
So what do the two Bs mean? Because that was a big takeaway we had from this, was that the Ascension came back in after they fucked a pie, and and Fandango looked through it and found a note that said two Bs. So what the fuck does that mean?
To be or not to be was in a Shakespeare book. Books have authors. Authors of pain.
That is terrible. But I wouldn't put it past him. So we had another thinly veiled attempt to say that Fandango was raped in the ass, which I appreciate as always. The Ascension are at this point now just backstage goons.
Yeah, they're comic relief.
Which, I mean, in this role, that's fine. I mean, at least they're getting TV time.
Yep.
But saying that that the Fashion Police are going to return in 2 weeks, not only does that take them off of any chance of seeing them at SummerSlam, but also for some reason the next SmackDown too. So I don't know if they're giving themselves time to recoup, or if there's something going on there that they wanted to take that they need to take them off TV for maybe like a show or a scheduled time off or something like that. I don't know,
but they're definitely keeping them out of the ring, which is, I think, a mistake too. But it's SmackDown. You look at the guys who they can't get ring time for on SmackDown, and it's sort of amazing when you look at who some of these guys are.
Right.
I mean, you talk about Sami Zayn, Mike and Maria, Luke Harper. As the list goes on and on of guys, Ty Dillinger, who can't find time on SmackDown, and add the Fashion Police to that. They're getting time in vignettes, but in the ring, they're just nothing for them.
Yeah. Well, and you look at it too as like our champion Jack Swagger, I mean Jinder Mahal, who gets 2 segments on a 2-hour show, and nobody cares.
You know what the answer is, Troy?
What's that?
3-hour SmackDowns.
That is the answer, but you know what? It's also not the answer, because you don't want that. Because then you know what you'll have? Raw.
I know. No, the answer, truthfully, is telling some of these guys, sayonara, see ya, out to pasture. Moving teams like the New Day back to Raw, where there can be more effective in a 3-hour format than a 2-hour format. There are a lot of things you could do. I don't need to see Randy Orton on TV anymore. There's nothing there anymore.
There's a couple of guys for sure. Obviously Randy is one of them, because he's boring, and he probably belongs over on Raw because he's not doing anything anymore of note on SmackDown. Obviously, we look at it as well. Yeah, like I said, the New Day taking 20 minutes for a promo is too much. And while they've elevated the tag team division over there, that was a division that really didn't need it. It needed some better storytelling, but it didn't need the star power, because they could have made American Alpha something. And even
they would have had to actually put them on TV for that to work, though.
Exactly, and that's the issue. But yeah, I mean, right now the same thing would happen that we knew was going to happen. The New Day became a focal point of it, and the Usos, obviously are in a feud with them. But once this is done, like, what else do you do? If the New Day get the titles, then the Usos are probably going to get shoved down the card, and then you're only going to have some other team take up that place. And that's kind of what happens to the New Day, is they become such a focal point that you can't have really 2 different tag team storylines. You don't have time for it.
Yeah, and that's a big problem. They could try to push their sort of main event stuff on the network as being almost a 3rd hour, an extension of SmackDown, and try to market it that way, instead of just being throwaway matches that nobody gives a shit about. But, if you marketed to me, hey, this week, if you go tomorrow morning on the WWE Network, you can see Ty Dillinger take on, Mike Kanellis, I would go watch that shit.
Yeah.
So the opportunity is there to find time for these guys. They just don't seem to be equipped to come up with the plan to execute it.
Mm-hmm. So do me a favor, because I've got nothing to say on the topic. Go ahead and vamp for a little bit on the Fatal 4-Way. I got to take a piss.
Okay. I guess I'll talk about the Fatal 4-Way. It was really just a device to get to the pay-per-view, have all 4 guys in the ring, get the visual. There wasn't a whole lot to it, really. Nothing, no real revelations. Heyman with the very strategic, put him in a cage, very not so veiled reference to a UFC, to putting him in the octagon, which is, of course, the rumor. Lots of people with the notion that because they're doing the angle where, oh, well, we're going to leave if we lose the title and we're never coming back and blah, blah, blah. That means that, well, Lesnar's clearly keeping the title. I sort of see that the other way because to me, it's the built-in excuse to have Lesnar off TV until whatever Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, whenever you want to bring him back, because we know that long hiatus is coming, and this gives you a built-in excuse to have that hiatus and to make it a surprise when he does return because he quote-unquote quits. I still think we're getting a new Universal Champion at the pay-per-view. Maybe it's a pipe dream. I don't know. We'll get into, when we do predictions later on, who I actually think is going to win that match at SummerSlam. But this was an okay way to set up, the go home for this match. But I just feel like it could have been done better. I liked Roman coming out, not saying anything, and just starting to beat the shit out of people. That was interesting.
We've seen it before, but it's effective.
Yeah, it's definitely. The less Roman talks, the better his character is.
Very much so. Less chances for boos, too.
It's true. But yeah, so that's pretty much it on that. There wasn't a whole lot of note to come out of that. It was more or less just to set up the big brawl, sort of like the 45 motherfuckers jump in the ring right the week before the Royal Rumble. It's just their standard go-to.
The only thing I have to say about that is the local indie wrestler who jumped out of the ring after getting hit downward definitely made the best of his time, and definitely will not be back on WWE TV anytime soon.
There were a few guys locally that I knew out there doing the security, so hats off to them. I know Mark Sherman specifically was one that was all over my Twitter feed, so congrats to the Short Thing for his appearance as a security guard on Raw.
Well, why wouldn't you hire him? He's a sure thing.
Exactly.
All right, let's finish off Raw here with Big KS aligning with the club, I guess, for this week. This whole storyline has been kind of fucking hot garbage. And this is the match that everyone's going to point at as, why the fuck are we doing this when we can't get Ty Dillinger and Sami Zayn on the card? As Big KS and the club decided to break Big Show's hand, I guess, or just injure it. I don't know.
I sort of liked that as a storytelling device. I liked the, I can't beat the Big Show, so I'm going to go out and get some backup. They weren't doing anything anyway, so this gives them something to focus on for at least the short term. And it gives a certain air of credibility. It seems like something, hey, if I get this guy who's got this horrible knockout punch I have to deal with, what's the first thing I want to take away? The punch. So it seemed credible. It made sense. It was logical. I didn't have a problem with it. I actually thought it wasn't a bad segment.
He probably should take away the HGH, not the punch, though.
I don't like the feud. I don't like the fact that we're just pitting it. I don't like anything with the Big Show, and I haven't for years. And he seems like a very nice guy from everything I know about him. People like him backstage, and it's not his fault. It's the way they've booked him. They've booked him in a way where he's not special anymore. We talked last week. Brock Lesnar is not great in the ring, but every time Brock Lesnar shows up in your town, people go fucking nuts because he doesn't show up everywhere. He's not there every week. He's an attraction. And that's how the Big Show should have been booked from day one. He should have been booked to feel special, to not be around every week. Certainly not jobbing out to the list of guys he's fucking jobbed out to. If I were to pull up a list of people who have beaten the Big Show, it would probably shock you, some of the names that are on that list. They haven't protected that character. And as a result, that character has no real interest, is not compelling in any way.
Yeah, that's the issue too, is because, Big Show's a certified Hall of Famer. He's had an amazing career. He's probably lived longer than I think a lot of people thought he was going to. But, him coming back in such great shape, they wasted it. Because he came back and he was booked exactly the same. Nothing changed about him. When they could have really been pumping the fact that, like, look, our monster is an even bigger monster now. Look at this fucking guy. Look at his abs. Mm-hmm. But instead he comes back in the same outfit and the same fucking storylines, and you're just like, oh, look, it's the Big Show again.
Thanks, Shaq.
Yeah. Who cares? Shaq wouldn't have been able to do anything different about that either, because he would have sold Shaq. So
yeah, probably. Speaking of reverting things back to when they weren't special, it appears that Lana is going to go back to being just a manager in a business suit Except now, instead of being paired with Rusev, where she was at least interesting in that role, she's going to be paired with Tamina. Or should I say, Tamina?
No, you shouldn't. Yeah, it makes no sense. They took all this time. They had her lose 3 straight matches to Naomi, and with increasingly shorter time limits on them, and then she's like, all of a sudden it was like, oh well, maybe Tamina, maybe she'll be the manager of Lana, and then all of a sudden this week it was like, oh, I guess not. Now we're talking about Tamina winning a championship. I just don't know anymore.
Yeah, I don't get the point of this pseudo push or whatever it is that they got going on. It doesn't make any sense at all to me.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that don't make sense, we wasted precious television time with 2 of your best performers in Kevin Owens and AJ Styles, with making Shane McMahon the focal point because he's a special referee. Don't hit me. I'm not going to shake your hand, but you can shake his hand. And just some really dumb shit that's beneath these guys. Now, I will say Kevin Owens, once again, owned the microphone, owned the facial expressions, and did what he did because he's one of the best in the world. AJ was good in his role. It was just a bad segment. It wasn't that these guys were bad or these guys did anything wrong. It was just a poorly written segment and a waste of their talent.
It was another one of those things where you took the 2 most interesting guys and strapped a fucking lead weight to them by having Shane be the focal point, when Shane should be the one who's kind of building these 2 guys up. This match now feels more like it's Shane McMahon featuring a wrestling match around him,
right,
as opposed to the wrestling match featuring Shane. So
right. Give me AJ Styles versus Mike Kanellis. Give me Kevin Owens versus Ty Dillinger. Those 2 matches, they build the feud. Have Shane McMahon ref both of them to get the rust off storyline-wise. You can still tell the same story and give us a quality, entertaining match involving these guys. This promo wasn't good. It was the guys were fine, but the material was just there was nothing there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of nothing there, and our awesome
Shane McMahon, who's not a wrestler, Shane McMahon, who's not a wrestler, shouldn't be acting physical like he's physically intimidating the talent. That's just fucking stupid.
Right. Exactly.
Back in the corporation days, Shane McMahon was playing the chicken shit heel, and that's what made it work. He could go out and have a good match, sure, but he wasn't portraying as though he was tougher than the guys. He was portraying as though he was scared of them, and that's what that guy should be fucking doing.
He was always been portrayed as the guy that I hired these guys.
Right.
And I'm going to tell them what to do. But I know that if I don't treat them right, they will fucking kill me. So, yeah, for him to turn around and be like, don't you fucking knock me out or I'm going to knock you out. Like, dude, first of all, you lost to one of these guys. And the other guy has powerbomb motherfuckers like you through tables and through the sides of ring aprons. You're not going to beat either of these 2 guys.
Yeah. Obviously, this is leading to a Kevin Owens Shane McMahon match, and I'm sure we'll further that storyline at SummerSlam. But how did you feel about the women's match on SmackDown this week as Natalya forces Becky Lynch to tap out to the sharpshooter? Becky Lynch, by the way, who is not on the SummerSlam card.
The shit shooter. Natalya sucks. There's another one of those people that needs to go away, because this should be Carmella versus Becky on the card.
Sure.
And not I mean, I know Carmella's not booked either, but to have, we obviously, we're kind of out of heels, or we're out of heels to face Naomi, because I don't know what's worse, Tamina or Natalya, but Natalya getting the rub like this, and for her to get a win over Becky Lynch, like a clean win like this, just man, oh man, like it sucks, because Becky was so good and she fought so hard to make a name for herself on SmackDown, and now she's just an afterthought. All because somebody fucking put some glow sticks in her ass.
Look, I have no problem with Naomi having a run. I think, she's worked hard for a long time. She's taken a lot of shit. She put up with a lot of stuff through the Divas days. I have no problem with her having a run with the title. But you look at we always talk about the 4 horsewomen and the renaissance of women's wrestling as a result of those 4. Charlotte, not on the card. Bayley, not on the card. Becky, not on the card. Who is on the card? Sasha, okay, great. Alexa, sure, I can get down with Alexa. Natalia and Naomi.
Yeah.
2 of these things are not like the others. And it's just, to me, it's, again, and I've talked about this since the SummerSlam card started. This is the SummerSlam of less than matches. These are matches that are less than they could be, less than they should be, and it's just making for a lackluster card. I mentioned earlier, they have 4 shows. You talk about NXT, you talk about SummerSlam, Raw, and SmackDown, all emanating from the Barclays Center this weekend, Monday and Tuesday, and none of those 4 shows are sold out, including the second biggest event of the year.
Right.
If that doesn't set off fucking alarms in that office about this creative direction, I don't know what the fuck will.
Right. I've never quite understood putting NXT in these big arenas because I don't think the audience is there, and I think you could find something in Brooklyn or around that area that's a little bit smaller of a venue. But yeah, the fact that SummerSlam, one of your big 4, 3, 5, however many they call big now, is having trouble. Well, look at the card, and we're going to look at the card. This is not good.
Right. I disagree on the NXT stuff because the truth is they've sold out that arena the last 2 years at TakeOver because they had strong matches. And we'll get to this card later. I actually think this is going to be a much better show than the card would dictate, but just looking at it, there's not that big match. There's not that thing you're looking forward to. You're not looking forward to, can Bayley overcome? Can the underdog rise? You're not looking for, we've seen all those things. We're not looking for, can Finn Balor win the first ever ladder match? There's not that draw to it. There's no stipulation matches. There's nothing to draw you in. So I don't think that, I think the lack of sales are just based on strictly on the card being lackluster, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
We have one more item on our list, and it should be a very quick one, but they hyped the shit out of Chad Gable on his way to the ring. JBL saying this is a future world champion. This is a future star, only to have Rusev fucking destroy him and make him look like a bitch in 30 seconds.
Yep.
This whole thing, Chad Gable's entire presence on the show was a vehicle to get us to an RKO out of nowhere.
Which is kind of funny because, if you listen to a couple of episodes of NXT Revisited, they talk about Jason Jordan as being a blue chipper, and then he loses all the time. So I guess, it's just the way things go in this company. But yeah, they had another chance again with Chad to do something with them. And again, just cannon fodder.
Yeah, I don't fucking get it, but it is what it is. Hopefully, because they are at least still portraying him as a big deal on the show, hopefully at some point after SummerSlam, maybe the direction starts to shift and then we can actually get something going for Chad Gable, because it would be interesting to see. But
I do feel like SummerSlam and TakeOver Brooklyn 3 are going to be turning points for both companies. Yeah. I think, specifically with NXT, we need to make a change up at the top in order for us to make the show interesting again. And I think in terms of SummerSlam, we're burning off some of these feuds, and there's potential there, but I'm also a little worried about the direction of some other guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And those concerns are very fair, and we'll address all those as we go through our predictions in just a little bit. But before we get to that, let's do some news. And of course, we're going to lead off the news with the biggest item of the week. WWE Hall of Famer Ric Flair remains in critical condition in an Atlanta hospital, according to F4W Online Wrestling, F4WOnline.com. We now know that Flair underwent colon surgery on Monday to remove a blockage that was the catalyst for a number of health issues that followed, including kidney failure. The blockage was said to be the worst of the issues, but the blockage did cause other problems. Flair is currently on kidney dialysis, and doctors are looking to get his kidneys back functioning. The surgery was considered a success, but there are more issues to deal with. Flair was hospitalized in intensive care on Saturday, then placed in a medically induced coma on Monday before surgery. Dave Meltzer noted on the Wrestling Observer Radio that Flair was in a lot of pain when he went into the hospital on Saturday. Flair's condition was said to be really bad. Meltzer said things were not looking good for Flair at one point, as was tweeted by WWE Hall of Famer Michael P.S. Hayes after he paid a visit to Flair in the hospital. Charlotte Flair, Ashley, his daughter, took to Instagram and wrote the following, thanking the fans for their support, saying, "Hey guys, on behalf of my family and I want to thank everyone for your prayers, texts, calls, and support. Our dad is a fighter and your continued thoughts and prayers mean the world to us. We will update everyone when we have more information." However, in conflicting reports, according to PW Insider, Ric Flair did not actually have colon surgery, as has been stated by other outlets. While they state Ric Flair did undergo some sort of surgery, the Flair family is not officially stating what it is. This would conflict with a tweet by Gene Okerlund and a report at the report we referenced earlier at f4wonline.com. But everyone agrees that Flair is dealing with multiple health problems, and while the surgery was deemed a success, he is still considered to be in serious or even critical condition. 5 days after being admitted to the Atlanta hospital, that condition continues to be critical, according to a statement made by his fiancée. Wendy Barlow released a statement on Facebook on Wednesday afternoon addressing Flair's current condition and rumors that have circulated since the news of his health has surfaced, saying, quote, "Just want to update my friends and family as I have been unable to talk on the phone without crying and feel just shocked over these events. I took Rick to the hospital Friday night with severe abdominal pain. From that moment on, it all seems like a nightmare. Multiple organ problems." Barlow's update is the first significant news on Flair's condition since Monday when the WWE rep confirmed Flair was resting following an undisclosed surgical procedure. Barlow specifically denied rumors that Flair's surgery was on his colon, saying, quote, "Not to get into too many details, I want everyone to know he still needs prayers and is still in critical condition. And no, he did not have colon surgery. It was another surgery." As previously reported, and as we previously mentioned, he was placed in a medically induced coma and underwent the surgical procedure. No word yet if he's still in the coma or if he's back awake. We've joked on this show a lot about Ric Flair, but the reality is, you know, the woos and the Ric Flair promos were the soundtracks to a lot of people's childhoods. He is a legend. He's one of the best to ever lace boots in this business. And we've lost a ton of these guys. All joking aside, obviously we wish for the best and hopefully a speedy recovery for the Nature Boy, and maybe we'll get to see him back on TV sooner rather than later.
I don't know about seeing him on TV, but at least it would be nice for him not to die.
Yeah, I'd like to see another Ric Flair strut one more time. Put it that way. Chris Jericho wasn't originally scheduled to make a surprise return to SmackDown Live on July 25th. Jericho explained on his latest episode of Talk is Jericho that he was there in Richmond, Virginia to film Season 2 of WWE Network's Southpaw Regional Wrestling and record an interview with Breezango for his podcast, but he got talked into doing more. Jericho said, "That's actually why I'm here today, was to film the show Southpaw and to talk to you guys. Now I've gotten roped into having a match." In his surprise appearance, of course, Jericho interrupted a segment between AJ Styles and Kevin Owens. Shane McMahon ended up booking a triple threat match with Owens, United States Championship on the line. Styles went over, won the title in the bout. Jericho has been away from the WWE, touring with his band Fozzy and pursuing other career opportunities. So for those of you who thought that was a return, apparently not.
It closed the book on that story. And, you know, it's Jericho. So, yeah, him bombing in and out is nothing new.
Road Dogg, who works behind the scenes of SmackDown Live, is actually the creative head writer on SmackDown Live, apparently wants NXT wrestler Sarah Logan on his show. On Twitter, WWE posted a video profile on Logan, who is a competitor in the Mae Young Classic. Road Dogg saw the video and tweeted the following, saying, quote, "I want this competitor on SD Live. Retweet and let him know." It's interesting that he singled out Sarah Logan with all that talent, and Crazy Mary Dobson's been a tremendous female talent. But it is surprising to me that he picked her as the one person he wants, given that she's gotten very little TV time.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to choose from, but I mean, there's a lot of talent on there. You know, maybe if they call her up, maybe we'll get Liv Morgan on TV again. Who knows?
Well, she hasn't been on NXT in months either, so she should be doing something. She was at a live event working. I think she did a six-person tag, teaming with Naomi and Becky. So maybe she is coming up. Who knows? Somebody else who is on the move looks like John Hennigan, aka Johnny Morrison or Johnny Mundo, will debut on Impact Wrestling in the near future, and he did tonight. I'll get into that in just a moment. The former WWE superstar was scheduled to appear at Stockton Con 2017, an annual pop culture convention taking place on the 19th and 20th in the Stockton area in Stockton, California. However, due to his contractual agreement with Global Force, he is now unable to attend the event. Stockton Con made the announcement earlier this week on Twitter and Facebook saying, "We're very sorry to announce that due to a contractual agreement with GFW Impact Wrestling, at the Real Morrison is unable to attend Stockton Con." It coincides with... God.
I love this story because the Hardy Boys signed with WWE and defended the Raw Tag Team Championships at an independent that they agreed to before signing a contract. And Johnny Mundo signs with GFW and they're like, "Nope, fuck you. You can't go to any of your dates."
Well, look, so I don't really need to get into a ton of the rest of the story, but the point of it is that one event is in California, the other's in Orlando. It's not like if they're on the same day, the same weekend, it's not like he could just go, "Okay, I'll do the convention," and then fly to, it would have been really difficult to pull that off. So, plus maybe he didn't want to give up any of his percentage to GFW for appearing at the convention, because that's apparently what they take now.
Oh yeah, that's what they take. All right.
But in any event, in a bit of breaking news, if you will, he did appear on the show tonight. Apparently, it was imperative that he skip the convention so that he could be in a pre-taped interview segment where he announced he would appear soon under the name Johnny Impact.
Oh my God.
I shit you not.
It was nice knowing you.
Angelina Love is gone from Global Force Wrestling. The former Knockouts champion announced via Twitter that she has requested her release from GFW, and it was granted. This comes after GFW granted her husband, Davey Richards, his release last month so that he could pursue a medical career. One of the founding members of the Knockouts division, Angelina started with the company in 2007. She went on to form the Beautiful People with Velvet Sky and hold Knockouts championships a record 6 times, along with Gail Kim. And in January, she returned to the company for her 5th stint, aligning herself with Richards in a feud with Eddie and Alicia Edwards. The feud ended last month at Slammiversary when Eddie and Alicia beat Davey and Angelina in a Full Metal Mayhem match. Angelina was always one of my favorite knockouts to watch, and she had kind of the complete package. Her team with Velvet Sky was excellent. It was cutting edge. It was brand new. It was very quickly mimicked with Lay Cool by the WWE. So if you want to talk about the sincerest form of flattery, WWE ripped their shit directly off and turned it into a huge angle on their TV as well. So Angelina Love's certainly a pioneer in the women's revolution, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. Can't say anything better. Beautiful People was a great group, and they were in fact beautiful.
Except for the Lacey Von Erich part.
I like Lacey Von Erich.
As eye candy, yes. As a wrestler,
oh no, as a wrestler, she's garbage. She should have probably gone the same way that her parents did.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Anyway.
Not everything is new on this edition of the Rundown, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it's the same. It's always the same.
Speaking of GFW, the unified GFW World Heavyweight Champion Alberto El Patron has been stripped of his title, according to a statement from the company. The move was made due to the recent domestic incident at an Orlando airport with Paige. Well, Patron did engage in questionable behavior with Paige that day. He was cleared by police after they confirmed that Paige could still be charged. GFW suspended Alberto back on July 12th and has not worked for the company since. It was believed that his suspension would end with Thursday's live Destination X special from Orlando. It did not. Patron took to social media and issued a statement on being stripped of the title, saying, "My company, Impact, and I have come to an agreement that it's best for both parties if I be stripped of the championship. I came up with the suggestion just to show that Impact doesn't have favorites and everyone gets treated the same. Apologies to fans and my brothers and sisters in the company. Even though I came out all clear and there was no wrongdoing, It was still a scandal, so thanks for your support. Let's move forward more positively. One day I will hope to be your champ again. Tonight on the show, I haven't seen how the whole thing played out before we came down here. Pritchard came out, announced they had stripped him of the title, and wished him the best of luck in his future endeavors. So I'm not sure he's going to be their champion again. It doesn't sound like he will ever be wrestling for that company again.
Yeah, he was going to give the title back to Bobby Lashley. And at that point,
that's the default position of GFW and TNA. We don't know what to do with our champion. Fuck it, put it on Lashley.
Right. But that was when Cornette came out and said that, they're not going to give everybody a free vacation to come in here. And they announced there's going to be a 20-man gauntlet match for the championship.
That's better than handing the guy the belt.
Yeah, but then if John Morrison wins the belt,
Johnny Impact, you mean?
Sorry, whatever. I'm not calling him Johnny Impact because it's a dumb name.
Sounds like a porn name, doesn't it?
Of course it does.
So did Johnny Nitro, though. But
Johnny Nitro did, yeah. I mean, at least Morrison sounded a little bit better because he was kind of, he was supposed to be John Morrison,
right?
But Johnny Mundo was fine too because it fit the character.
Right, exactly. The Dirty Sheets podcast is reporting that WWE officials haven't pushed Mike Kanellis too hard because he arrived at the company in, quote, less than stellar physical shape. Kanellis, who formerly wrestled on the independent circuit and in TNA as Mike Bennett, debuted at Money in the Bank without much fanfare. Many fans have questioned the booking of Kanellis since his debut, with some even branding him a jobber. WWE execs are just not high on Kanellis because of the shape he arrived in, especially after he convinced them to put him on the main roster instead of NXT. Behind the scenes, Kanellis is perceived as lazy and complacent. One person in WWE told Dirty Sheets Mike signed 2 months before he came in, and it looks like he just sat on his couch. The company doesn't get it. He's one of the guys who said it's his dream to be here, and he doesn't even get in shape for it. I've been on shows that Mike's been on. I know people who have worked with Mike. I know people who have been trained with Mike. Lazy and complacent is not anything I've ever heard used to describe Mike Bennett. If anything, the guy works his ass off, busts his ass. He's a gym rat. He's in there constantly. I don't put any credence to this report. This entirely strikes me, as we talked about earlier, somebody making some shit up to make a reason for something they don't understand. I don't understand the booking of him either. But I sort of feel like they didn't bring him in to be a main eventer. They brought him in to be a mid-carder. You want to tell me Ty Dillinger's out of shape? Because he's getting the same fucking treatment. So I don't put much behind this.
Right. And I don't either, because I've seen the guy and he looks great. So that's definitely not the case, and Daniel Bryan was a champion and he had a gut. So,
but would you fuck him, Troy?
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
for sure. And like we said before, yeah, it strikes us something where it feels like somebody trying to why this is happening, why he's not getting pushed. And in actuality, it's probably just because they don't know what to do with him yet.
Right. They're still developing the character a little bit too. I mean, the problem is the same problem they had with American Alpha. You can't develop a character if you can't find TV time for him.
Right.
And then they become just another guy. And then you eventually release them because you say they couldn't get over. Well, you can't get over if you're never on fucking TV.
That is true.
But in any event, Paige and Alberto El Patron appeared at a former San Antonio Spur Malik Rose's bowling charity event in San Antonio, Texas on Monday night. And local news reporter, some fucking chick, caught up with the return to WWE television. And she said, quote, hopefully within the next couple of months, fingers crossed. Now I have to get cleared by WWE doctors. Paige has been out with a neck injury since June of 2016. So do we really see the possibility of Paige returning to this company at this point? Or is there just too much water under that bridge?
Boy, I don't know. I mean, the more and more trouble that she and Alberto get into, the more I say there's no fucking way. But, boy, anything can happen.
A company that has no real qualms about being image conscious in GFW just stripped Alberto of their title and basically told him on public television, go fuck yourself. But yet a company that cares about their image over and above everything else in the WWE is going to bring back Paige after all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about the sex tapes and that stuff because that's not really her fault. But stuff like being involved in domestic battery and yelling about cocaine in the middle of an airport doesn't strike me as very WWE friendly.
Well, plus she's going to have to get tested again. And I don't know that she can piss clean right now. So.
And it really is a tragedy. I'll tell you that much.
It is. Because, Paige, I was a supporter in NXT. And when she came up to the main roster, I thought that they did a great job with her character. And then they stopped doing a great job with her character. And the anti-diva became just another diva. And at that point, then everyone else was kind of passing her by. And then once we started to hear about more and more of her issues, then the whole Del Rio thing too, it's spiraling out of control. And this is somebody who's still, 23?
Yeah.
Somewhere around that case. And this might be it for her, She still obviously has her Carney family to go back to if she does get fired, but I don't know that she'll ever make it back to WWE because she might have burned too many bridges at this point.
Well, it's funny. You hear about these women like AJ Lee and Paige who tell you constantly that this was their dream since they were a little girl, was to be the WWE champions, and they get there and they walk away from that opportunity to follow some dude, and it's just sad. It really is.
Yeah, it really is.
On the latest edition of ENC's Pod of Awesomeness, which if you haven't checked out yet, I suggest you should because it's an entertaining listen. They had Drew McIntyre on, and Edge revealed that he once considered wrestling for TNA. After Christian talked about leaving WWE for TNA in 2005, the Rated R superstar mentioned that TNA made him a contract offer when his deal with WWE was set to expire in either 2008 or 2009. He can't remember the exact year, saying, quote, "There were some things in TNA that I found intriguing, including the lighter schedule, Christian being there, and the opportunity to wrestle new opponents like Joe and AJ Styles. But at the end of the day, the WWE was his home, and he was an established main eventer. He felt the company had put faith in him, and he owed them." Would have been really interesting to see Edge in TNA and how that would have played out.
Would he have been Edge Cage?
Would he have been what? Oh,
because he couldn't go by Edge. But would he have been Edge Cage?
Edge Impact?
Christian Cage's brother?
Could be. Who knows? It's possible.
Ooh.
Or maybe
Edge Impact would be funny.
Or maybe Christian would have become Christian Copeland.
Ooh, there you go.
Still has the double C's.
Yeah, there you go.
Still could play Captain Charisma and the whole gimmick.
Yeah.
This is one just for you, Troy. Brie Bella recently did an interview with From the Top Row podcast and indicated that her husband, Daniel Bryan, is still looking at ways to return to the ring. Brie also went on to say that Bryan has been undergoing hyperbaric oxygen therapy and has already undergone 40 treatments, and that she would support him should he choose to return to the ring, saying, quote, "I told Bryan, you do have a daughter, so always remember that. But if the doctors finally give you the green light, I say go. This is your dream and passion. You have one life to live, and I will never hold you back because I love to wrestle, and I would hate if someone told me you can't do it. And if the WWE doesn't allow it, then I said go somewhere else. It's all on you. Obviously, we would love to be able to get back in the WWE ring, but I know for a fact my husband is going to find his way back to a ring. He honestly is." Given all that, Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter stated it is pretty much a lock. It pretty much looks like a lock that Bryan will be wrestling again next year, but it remains to be seen whether it's with the WWE, New Japan, Ring of Honor, or someone else. In terms of WWE, it would all depend on whether Dr. Joseph Maroon would clear him to return, something which Maroon has publicly stated he will never do. Sounds like Brie Bella is looking forward to being a widow.
It's a bad position that she's in because what is she supposed to do? Is she supposed to turn around and say, I never want to see him wrestle again? Well, then you've got a bunch of angry fans giving her fucking death threats. Or does she say, I want him to be happy and do what he loves and support him? Well, that's probably the better choice, even if she does have her qualms about it. This is what she's saying publicly. I don't believe this is what she's saying behind closed doors. I think that there's a lot more to this conversation, and I think it's a lot of like, hey, I want you to be happy because I love you. I'm worried about you. She does throw in there, we have a daughter together. Like, just remember that. Like, what's more important? So she doesn't go balls deep, but she's definitely halfway up the shaft. So it's like I said, it's one of those things. What do you expect her to do? I mean, she's got to support her husband.
I guess. All right, that is going to do it for this week on the news section, and I am making a executive decision here, and I'm going to say we don't have time to do the discussion topic this week.
Ooh, Adam's gonna get mad.
Well, Adam left the show, so it's our fucking call now.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's get over to our picks then.
Let's do it.
All right, so Takeover Brooklyn 3. We have Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano versus Andrade Cien Almas with Zelina Vega.
This is interesting because I think they're starting for the first time to really kind of make Andrade Almas an interesting character. I think adding Zelina Vega has been very helpful to his character. But Johnny Gargano's a star. Johnny Gargano is going to be one of their top guys. He's got to win his first real major singles match.
So what was your pick?
Gargano.
Gargano. Okay. I'm going with Almas because I think that I'm going with Almas as a cheating way though, with some shenanigans.
And maybe Tommaso shows up and costs Gargano.
That's possible. All right, then we have Mr. Aleister Black versus Hideo Itami.
And this one could be the match that steals the show at TakeOver. These two have very similar martial arts backgrounds in terms of their style in the ring. I think it's going to be a lot of near falls, a lot of suddenness, but I'm going to go with Aleister Black. I can't see anybody derailing that train just yet.
Yeah, might as well sweep that one because I don't see Hideo winning this one either. Back. Once you go black, you never go back. All right. The NXT tag belts are on the line as the Authors of Pain defended against Sanity.
And we don't officially know which members of Sanity it's going to be yet, do we? I mean, they've sort of put up Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf, but they've also started to mix in Eric Young in the last couple shows. So I don't know what the...
Yeah, and Young just came back, so I would assume they would freebird it if they do win it. Spoiler alert, I'm not picking them to win it. So
well, we're going to disagree on that one as well. I'm going to go with Sanity here because I think it is going to be time for Authors of Pain to move up, and I think they need to drop those titles.
We're to debut against Fashionables. Right?
And destroys them in about 2 minutes, yes.
Yeah. All right, the NXT Women's Championship is on the line as Asuka takes on Ember Moon.
And I rescind my previous comment. I think this is the match that's going to steal the show. I think these two are going to tear the house down. And I think we're finally going to see the crowning of Ember Moon as the new NXT flag bearer for the women's division so that Asuka can move up to the next, to the main roster.
So when I was talking about kind of changing a guard, this is one of two matches that I think needs to go a certain way, and I think it is time for Asuka to lose, because otherwise, at this point now, we're too far into it where we're starting to stifle the women a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna join you in saying that it's Ember Moon's turn. Our main event of the evening, the NXT Championship on the line as Bobby Roode takes on Drew McIntyre. I personally don't want to see Drew McIntyre win the belt, because I think Bobby is doing some good work. And if they're going to take it off Asuka, I don't think they're going to take it off of Roode. So I think that Roode hangs on to it for a little bit longer.
I was convinced they were going to put it on McIntyre for the longest time. Until last week when they started to rebuild the Roddy and Bobby Roode thing. I think this is going to continue for at least another takeover with some sort of a triple threat next time, maybe with the three of them. And I feel like in order to get there, Roode has to keep the title. I know a lot of people are counting the days till Bobby Roode debuts on the main roster, but I think they might have to wait a little bit longer because I think Bobby Roode's holding on to the title.
All right. Two matches. That should be interesting. All right, so then we have.
Can I make one prop bet for NXT Takeover?
Sure. What you got?
Do we see Adam Cole, baby?
I think we see Adam Cole in the crowd.
Okay.
You think he gets in the ring?
I just meant on. Do we see him on camera at the show?
I think we see him on camera.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree.
It's not really a prop bet. We both agree on it.
Well, now it is, but
Yeah. All right. So then, emanating from the exact same arena, we have SummerSlam, a bloated fucking card. So let's get it off on
it's a 4-hour card with a 2-hour pre-show. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking 6 hours of SummerSlam because in WWE, more is more.
Yep. So starting things off on the Mountain Dew Kickstart show, we have Akira Tozawa taking on Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah, I think we both pretty much laid this one out earlier. This only made sense if it's to get the title back on Neville. So,
right, and he gets to be a 2-time champion then.
Yeah.
Also, for whatever godly reason, on the pre-show, the Hardy Boys and My Black Son take on the Miz Taraj.
Of course, Jason Jordan. Yeah, I think Jordan pins Miz here. I think this match probably exists only to further that storyline. So,
all right. I'm going to agree with you. The Miz Taraj seems like they're put together just to job. So, and finally, we have the New Day defending the SmackDown Tag Team belts against the Usos, and I think that the Usos take it back.
see, I'm leaning in that direction as well because this story ends if New Day wins again. There's nothing left to do for the Usos if they don't win the titles here.
Right.
If you go through the roster on SmackDown, who else is left? Although, if I believe my own story that the Authors of Pain are coming in, they would probably feud with the New Day over the Uso. All right, I'm going to go with the New Day.
Okay. Good. All right, we've got John Cena versus the Big Breakfast Baron Corbin in what has now turned into a grudge match.
I am going to say I was going to go with Cena right up until SmackDown. I'm going to go with Corbin now. I think this is where they kind of start to rebuild him after that, sort of very public embarrassment on SmackDown. And I also think he's going to do some sort of horrible attack to Cena that's going to have him out for an extended period of time because, Transformers and all.
I don't think they're filming that yet. If word is true that Cena is going over to Raw, I think that he would probably request to do it on his back. So I'm going to say that Corbin goes over here.
No. He just buries people. He doesn't put them over.
How? All right. Bray Wyatt, baby, takes on the Demon King, Finn Balor. King Dong himself, Finn Balor, takes on Bray Wyatt. Who do you got?
Got to be the Demon. Again, we saw Wyatt get the clean victory on Raw. That just sort of kill Balor if he loses with the Demon persona in place. You ruin him if you want.
Yeah, you do ruin him. I'm going to also go with the Demon King to beat Wyatt because Wyatt doesn't win matches. So
he's won a lot lately.
I know. All right, and we have the Enzo on a pole match as the Big Show takes on Big Cass.
Who gives a fuck?
I'm actually going to say that this is where we see Enzo and Big Cass get back together as a heel team.
Yeah, that was what I said from the beginning. Same thing. Enzo's going to turn on Big Show here.
Now, do we think, to prop it on this, does Enzo drop a weapon or a deuce from the cage?
Yes.
All right, so Enzo's going to shit on Big Show. Moving along.
No. He's going to shit on the weapon, then drop it.
There you go. That's a good one. All right, and the piss break match. Randy Orton takes on Rusev.
Randy's lost a lot. He's put over a lot of people, and there doesn't seem to be any interest in a push for Rusev at this point. They're just kind of using him to put other guys over. Jesus, this is a tough one. Fuck it, I'll go Rusev.
All right, I'm actually going to say Randy, just because of the fact that Rusev is now the new Dolph Ziggler.
My head says Randy, my heart says Rusev. So,
What's your cock say?
Lana. Well, I said recently I'm gonna stop trying to pick what I think they're gonna do and just base it on what I would do. So I would have Rusev go over.
Fair enough. All right. And the Shane McMahon match featuring AJ Styles and Kevin Owens defending the U.S. belt. I'm going Styles.
Yeah, AJ's going to win. Owens is going to get cost a match by Shane, probably give him a pop-up powerbomb afterwards, and we're off and running towards Team Owens versus Team McMahon at Survivor Series.
All right. And I don't know who put this in here. I'm not calling them that. Sheamus and Cesaro put the WWE Raw Tag Team titles on the line against the Fist Brothers.
I put that in there because that's their name, 007.
All right, whatever.
It beats the shit out of the fucking bullshit mosh of names that Adam likes to call them. In any event, Ambrose and Rollins are going to take the tag titles here.
All right.
Sheamus is going off to film a movie, so.
Oh, that is true. Yes, I forgot that wasn't in our news. Yep, Sheamus is going off to film a movie, and the Fist Brothers fist each other, so they should be extra fisty. So it should be that's so weird because a member, somebody who's not in our show, keeps showing up on the rundown. So I'm not sure what's going on there. For the WWE Championship is on the line as Jinder Mahal with the Singh brothers takes on Shinsuke Nakamura.
Okay, so we talked about this earlier. You think that Jinder's holding on to this title, is what you said earlier. I disagree. I think Nakamura is winning the title here. I think they're going to get that big moment with everybody singing his song, and probably get footage of everybody singing his song as they leave the arena. And the reason I say that is because they are very soon going over on a tour of India, and I think on that tour in India, Jinder is going to win the title back.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, I'm going to go with Jinder retaining via shenanigans. Evil shenanigans. Maybe a re-debuting Dolph Ziggler. I don't know. All right, the Raw Women's Championship is online as Alexa Bliss takes on the boss, Sasha Banks. It's boss time.
Yeah, the thing I love about this match is that I really have no idea which way it goes, and I know that these girls legitimately don't like each other. Just goes to show you can dislike somebody in this business and work great matches with them, because these two had a great match the last time out. I think they're even going to up their game this time. I think this has to be the moment for Sasha to get the big win. Otherwise, I don't see what you do with it. They've already sort of set in place a great storyline with Sasha winning and refusing to kind of give the shot to Bayley, which I think is where we're going to go down the line. But on this night, I'm going to pick Sasha to win the title.
All right. I'm actually going to go with Bliss so that this can lead to Nia Jax finally getting her shot, simply because of the fact that I think that the plan was for Sasha to win the belt and then for Bayley to go at it, but nobody likes Bayley anymore, so fuck her. So I'm going to go with Bliss. All right, in another piss break match, Naomi defends her championship against Natalya.
Naomi's going to win.
Just make sure at this point, put in some fart sound effects. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and sweep that one as Naomi. And in what actually might be one of the hardest matches to call, what's going to happen, the Universal Championship is defended in a four-way match with Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman.
Okay. I said earlier, I'm booking this the way I would do it, not the way I necessarily think they will. So here's what I do. During the match, we get Ambrose and Rollins coming out. They do the triple powerbomb spot on Strowman to take him out of the match. Strowman becomes the sympathetic face for getting screwed over. They end up costing, because there's no disqualification in a fatal four-way. They take Brock out, and Roman pins Samoa Joe. You have a heel Shield faction reunited. So when it looks like you're going to get the face Shield with Owens, Rollins and Ambrose, and then later on in the show, you find out they're actually aligned as a heel stable with Roman. Very similar to what they did with Chyna, Triple H, and Kane a few years ago at a SummerSlam. And this is going to set up down the road Balor and the Club versus the Shield.
Sadly, I actually agree with you. I was thinking that too, that we were going to get the Shield reunited in the main event here. I don't know that it's the club that joins up with them, but that's very possible because if we are losing our top heel tag team with Dublin 07, we turning Ambrose and Rollins heel allows you to to use some other guys in that thing and turn the Good Brothers face if you wanted to.
Right.
And the prop bet, the prop bet, will Carmella cash in?
I would have said no, but the fact that they got the briefcase out of Corbin's hand, but ultimately I can't see them doing both of them that close together. I think they want one to drag out a little bit longer. And they haven't gotten the toy belts for Naomi yet. So my guess is Naomi's going to keep it. So I would say no, Carmella does not cash in.
All right. I think for sure we are getting a tease of it, but I think that it will set up a feud, maybe with having like Becky interrupt the cash in or something like that. So I'm thinking no as well.
Okay.
And
do we want to do Adam's voicemail? Fuck it. Let's just listen to it.
All right. Well, now I closed it, so
I don't want him to cry later. It was my first week off the show. You made me call in and you didn't play it. You know.
All right.
We may not answer his question, but we can at least play it. He still wants to be a part of the show. You see how this works? He's thirsty, Troy.
He's thirsty as hell. Yep. I saw him pop in on the rundown.
Oh, did he? I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Hey guys, my name is Adam. Long-time listener, first-time caller. No seriousness. Before I get to the discussion topic this week, because apparently I won the fantasy league somehow. I'm not sure.
2 weeks ago.
I'm sure you guys have mentioned it already, but I want to give my thoughts and well wishes to the Nature Boy Ric Flair and his recovery from his health issues that he's been having over the past few days. So kick ass, Nature Boy. Elsewhere, the discussion topic for this week's program. Given the current roster situation on Raw and SmackDown, before any kind of dumb superstar shakeup they plan on doing in the next couple weeks, given that the next major pay-per-view is the Survivor Series in November, given that they are probably going to do a brand versus brand Survivor Series match again, what is your ideal Raw roster and SmackDown roster for a 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match, brand versus brand? Again, given the rosters as they are right now going into SummerSlam. Finally, before I go, that Baron Corbin thing was bullshit and you know it. Thanks. Bye.
Well, I've already proven Adam wrong in that last statement, so we're not going to go there. We'll talk about when teams of 5 strive to survive at the Survivor Series. Geez, this was something I should have had some prep time to do. But off the top of my head, your Raw team has to have let's be real, your champions have to be on this team if you're talking about the best 5 versus the best 5. So that means you're putting The Miz on the Raw side. You're putting, I'm going to say Roman Reigns because, like I said, I think Roman Reigns is winning the title at SummerSlam. So Roman and The Miz are already on the roster. I think you got to put Joe on there. I think you got to put Braun on there. You're not going to put Brock on there because, he's Brock. And I think Kurt Angle would throw his son in that last spot just because, nepotism. So that would be the 5 I would go with, or I think they would go with, I should say. The SmackDown side would probably be, Jesus. Well, we got to go champions. And again, I have Nakamura winning that match. So Nakamura, I have, who's my U.S. champ? AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon, and Baron Corbin.
Fair enough. I would say for the Raw side, the Shield and the Hardys. And for the SmackDown side, the New Day. And I would probably say Juan Cena and Shinsuke.
This just in, I just got a breaking news alert from Twitter, Troy. Apparently, what do we have here? OkCupid has banned white supremacists from their dating service.
Oh,
which means there's big money in a white supremacist dating service somewhere. So if you're an internet developer, get on that shit.
Yeah, there you go.
White supremacists need love too, right?
Mm-hmm. Everybody needs love. If there's a fucking farmerslove.com or whatever like that.
Yeah. Christian Mingle, Farmers Only. There's one for everybody.
Mm-hmm. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and take it to your local indie news. Or not so much news, but
put some plugs in your asshole.
Yeah, let's put some plugs in that ass.
And that is the new tagline.
There you go. BCW Summer Sizzle is Friday, August 18th at the Columbus Club in West Allis. So if we can get this out tonight, it will be tomorrow, or if you listen to this Friday, get your tickets now because the show's tonight. Head to BrewCityWrestling1.com to save money on tickets. The card so far is Sierra will take on Evil Dis again, but this time with special referee Frankie DeFalco. A tag team grudge match between the Heathens, the Brew City Bruiser, and Kahagas take on Max Holiday and Russ Jones. In a rematch from May's BCW Retribution, AIWF Women's Champion Midwest Slayer Stacy Shadows takes on the Golden Goddess Lena D'Oro. GFW star Marsh Rocket, I guess that's
Marche.
Whatever, I don't give a fuck. He's going to be released soon. We'll take on Mr. Swagnificent Jared Jax. And the BCW tag titles are on the line as Hardcore Impact, which is Hardcore Craig and Paulie Tomaselli, take on Onyx Andretti and His Holiness Sean Priest.
I got very excited. I thought it was going to be Hardcore Holly and Johnny Impact.
That would be great.
For a moment. If you're looking for some middle-of-the-week wrestling action, you can check out UFO Wrestling Big Bang 2017 as we return to the Malden Irish American Club on Wednesday night, August 23rd. Doors will open at 7 p.m. for a special meet and greet. Tickets are $12 general admission. Reserved front row seats are available on advanced purchase only. All other tickets are first come, first serve. This card is pretty stacked. It's going to be headlined by UFO Heavyweight Championship being defended as the Kingpin Brian Malonis takes on the Dirty Daddy Chris Dickinson. UFO Tag Team title is going to be on the line as Bo Douglas and Josh Briggs look for a measure of revenge after being sneak attacked and sucker punched by the Cool People last time at UFO Wrestling. Teddy Goods is going to take on Ilya Markopoulos in a battle of two of the best unsigned talents in the New England area. The selfie-made man, Vern Vicalo, is going to take on Impact Wrestling star Robbie E. An intergender match is going to pit Davian versus Josh Briggs. We're also going to have on the show Furio Falcone, Aaron Amadeus, Benny Jux, and much, much more. That is this Wednesday night. UFO Wrestling, August 23rd.
Well, if you're a Josh Briggs fan, you're getting a double dose of him in that.
Absolutely. And you should, if you're not a Josh Briggs fan, you should be, because that kid's going to get signed in the not too distant future. He's got all the tools. And I'm going to try to get him on the sit down before he gets signed so that I can't be told by another person that I worked with that they can't do it.
There you go. What's going on over at APW?
At APW, 3 days later, I'm going to be very busy that week. Saturday night, August 26th at the Boys and Girls Club of Lower Merrimack Valley, 18 Maple Street, Salisbury, Massachusetts. We have a very special night because Belmont is going to return to the ring. It's been a while. She had a lot of personal issues. She had to vacate the championship. And as a result, she took some time away from the professional wrestling business, but she is triumphantly making her return on this night. And we are very, very pleased to have her back. We also had this week some real big match announcements, as our main event for that night is going to feature the Kingpin, Brian Malonis, teaming up with the man who took the championship from him, the Juggernaut, John Poe, as they take on the Picture Perfect Family. Going to be some combination of the selfie-made man, Vern Vicalo, Perfect Dan Terry, or Slam Dance Tim Lennox. They're going to have Uncle Eddie in their corner. The APW New England Championship is going to be on the line as Xavier Bell takes on Buddy Romano. We're also going to see the APW Tag Team Championship as the Tenacious 2 take on the Maine State Posse. And the Women's Championship going to be defended as Vanity Vixen takes on Adira with Uncle Eddie. Also appearing on the show, I mentioned Belmont making her return. We're going to have the Hampton Beach bad boy Hunter Ward, the Dynasty, Bo Douglas, the Canadian legend Matt Loudon with John Fabulous, Cousin Larry, Setherin, and the unequaled one, Todd Sobel. So much more. $12 at the door. Advanced tickets are $10. You can reserve front row seats for $15. Check out AtlanticProWrestling.com/products to purchase your tickets. Doors open at 6 p.m. and the bell time is at 6:30.
All right. Well, if you're in the Peabody, Massachusetts area, which I am not, check out Liberty States Wrestling as they present Heard You Missed Us, We're Back. Really? That's the name you came up with? Saturday, September 9th from the Joan McCarthy Elementary School in Peabody, Massachusetts. Main event is the Liberty States Heavyweight Championship match between Christian Casanova as he defends against Dynamite Danny Miles. Todd Sopel will be defending his No Limits title in an open challenge. I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of limits to that match, though.
This is where Adam goes, fuck you guys.
Fuck you guys. Josh Briggs, yet again getting around, is going to take on Xavier Bell. Also appearing, and I'm sorry if I butcher these names,
that's Ilya Markopoulos.
Ilya Markopoulos, the fabulous Johnny Vegas, Mike Russell, Robo the Punjabi Lion, the Clinic Chris James, the Selfie-Made Man Vern Vicalo, Seth Arin with Vanity Vixen, and D.L. Hurst, and many, many more. Tickets are just $10 for general admission. Doors open at 6:30 with the bell time at 7. Head over to LibertyStatesWrestling.com. I'm reading the next one down already as I'm trying to read that. LibertyStatesWrestling.com for more information. And if you are in the Clinton, Massachusetts area, which I will never be in, check out Lucky Pro Wrestling as they present Fall Frenzy. It's Saturday, October 14th from the Elks Hall in Clinton, Massachusetts.
Get lucky.
Already signed for the first time ever, the LPW tag titles will be on the line in a last team standing match as the Aristocrats defend against the Heavy Hitters. And this is the Hitters' last chance at tag team gold in LPW. And as we know in wrestling, when you have one final chance, that is always going to be your final chance. You will never get another chance. You will never, ever, ever get another chance. So make sure to see if the Hitters can actually get the titles, or if this will be the last time we ever see them in a match for the tag titles. They'll get another chance. Also announced, Brick Mastone will defend the Hard Knocks Championship against Cam Zagami, and a return of the fan favorite Halloween Battle Royale. I don't know why he did not put a internet, what is it called, website for Lucky Pro Wrestling, but I'm assuming that you know it off the top of your head.
I believe it's luckyprowrestling.com.
All right, go check that out for more information on that.
You can certainly check them out at Lucky Pro Wrestling on Facebook.
So there you go, and that will do it.
But wait a second, we don't have. See, I don't know if he purposely did it just to fuck with my gimmick, but we don't have any Elks on Fire.
I'm gonna assume he did because that is not in here. So, but that's okay because we got it in now, just like Paige. All right, so that does it for the rundown for this Thursday.
That works too.
There you go. August 17th, 2017 has been 503 days since Asuka won the NXT Women's Championship. And because that's ridiculous to keep going off of that, I also threw in here that it's also been 137 days since Brock Lesnar and Naomi won their respective championships. Go to audibletrial.com/rundown for a free audiobook and a free audiobook and a 30-day free trial.
Yes, that's a new thing with this new edition of the Rundown. We have gotten you an Audible trial. So you go there, you subscribe to it, you get a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. It's never been done before on this show. We're very excited to bring this to you.
Right. It's also something that no other podcast will offer you ever. Check us out on Twitter at rundownpodcast.com to go over there right now to see Baron Corbin with crying Jordan on his chest. Email the show rundownwrestling@gmail.com. That website or that email address is empty right now. So send us your shit. Leave us
Put some shit in our box, is what we're saying.
There you go. Put some shit in our box. Yeah. Leave us a voicemail like Sal and Adam did at 617-863-6967. That's 61 Rundown 7. Head over to Facebook and find us Rundown Wrestling, or go to YouTube Rundown Podcast, or search on YouTube for Adam Rundown Host, which I don't know why he named it that, not Rundown Podcast, but whatever.
Because it's all about him, Troy.
That's right. If you feel like giving Adam some money, even though he's not on the show anymore, go to paypal.me/Rundown Wrestling to make donations. It costs Adam, I'm not going to say that anymore because it doesn't do that. If you are feeling a little backed up and need a little help, go to tinyurl.com/Distant Horizons to go chase those Distant Horizons and get a chapbook written by the man, the myth, the legend, Andy Lister.
You're chasing those Distant Horizons right up your asshole, right?
That's right. It helps move the shit along. We are, of course, a member of the Questionable Endeavor Network. You can also check out questendnetwork.com to learn all about our different podcasts, or check out shadowvane.net. I think he's still updating that at some time. If you want to donate money to Andy because he needs more of it, go to patreon.com/shadowvane. Check out Tuning Japanese on iTunes and Stitcher. And if you want to give Andy more money, go to patreon.com/tuningjapanese.
Yeah, Andy can advertise his fucking fundraisers on his own shows. We'll direct you to shadowvane.net, and we'll direct you to Tuning Japanese on iTunes and Stitcher. We will certainly direct you to our good friend Henry Hugepex, the suplex throwing human duplex at the Raw Attitude Podcast. We will direct you, and Troy won't do this because he doesn't want to. Well, he probably would, toot his own horn. But I'm going to tell you, excellent and humorous reviews of movies and television shows at the Slasher Sanitarium on iTunes and Twitter, the Pwn Stars on iTunes and Podomatic, New Blood Rising on iTunes, and our newest member, although they've been around for a while, Words of Geekdom on iTunes and Stitcher.
That's right. Go to questendnetwork.com or go to Twitter at questendnetwork at questendnetwork. I don't think they've posted anything recently, though. Also, check out our Discord channel if you are not a pedophile.
Or
for some reason, I'm going to throw in a free plug here for the Wrestling Podcast About Nothing, hosted by Brian Malonis and Mike Crockett. I actually just recently listened to an episode of the Wrestling Podcast About Nothing, which gave me an idea for us to do a little game coming up here, but we're still working on some of the details. If you're listening to our show, you probably already subscribed to us on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play, or Podbean, or Podomatic. If you hadn't, why the fuck didn't you do that? That's retarded.
Should we announce the general idea for this thing we've got, and then we'll fill in the blanks later?
So the general idea right now is we want to find out what is the best entrance theme around. And we decided we're going to do a Field of 64, and we're going to do a March Madness style brackets where we've got old school WWE, current WWE, NXT, and what was the other one that you wanted to do?
WCW. We're gonna give them each their own regions. We're gonna have matchups. Each region will have 16 songs. There will be 8 matchups per region. We will continue to go down, very similar to the NCAA, until we find out who the best theme song of all time is. And the best part of it is you will all get to vote. We're gonna set up some surveys, put them on our Facebook page. You can go on there and pick which songs you want to vote for, and the ones that get the most votes will move on in the tournament. This is not going to be our opinion. This will be the voice of the people determining this.
That's right. And if you have any suggestions on theme songs that need to be in this tournament to make sure that we don't leave anything out, please email the show, rundownwrestling@gmail.com, or drop us a tweet at Rundown Podcast. So with that, special thanks to all of you for listening. Also, a nice little shout out to Kenny Lockhart for being the only person who decided to get into the what I'm going to now call this week the Lockhart Lounge.
There you go.
And
well, see, I think we kind of got screwed by Adam changing us to Wednesdays, and then we changed it back to Thursdays, and I think it just screwed people up. So hopefully we'll get the message out that we are back on Thursday nights.
That's right. So thank you to Jason for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you to Ray Williams for our logo, and thanks as well to Jason for our brand new theme song that you heard start off the show. An ever evolving but ever amazing theme song.
I hope everyone enjoys it.
That's right. Next week, join us again on Thursday around this same time, this same channel, as we bring you a review of SummerSlam and TakeOver, as well as Raw and SmackDown for the week.
We may have a little something special regarding TakeOver. I'm working on it, so I don't want to put the cat out of the bag, but just stay tuned to the Rundown feed. There may be something coming.
That's right. And if you haven't already, make sure to check out the Rundown sit-down with Jason Rumble. Possibly one of the best that Jason has done so far. And it was so good, we had to break it into 2 parts. So is that next one coming out on Monday, or will that be the following week?
It'll be the following Monday. We've released on an every other week schedule with the sit downs, and just to keep everything going, I'm going to do it that way. But I appreciate it. I've actually gotten some great feedback from that. It's a very poignant, very open, very raw and real discussion. Jason talks about a lot of things a lot of people wouldn't necessarily be very open about, but he does. He brings it all, holds nothing back, takes some shots at some people, very, very honest about his opinions of a lot of people. So I certainly encourage you to go check it out and give it a listen.
That's right. And with that one especially, not only is he talking about a lot of the different workers, but he is very candid with a lot of the drug and alcohol abuse that he had to suffer through. It's really great to hear how he was able to overcome those and become the guy he is today. So make sure to give that a listen. And head on over to iTunes, give us a 4-star review, because nobody reads 5-star reviews. And but other than that,
Oh, we should also throw a quick mention out to Adam's newest edition of Nitro Mania. I believe this week is the big one with the Halloween Havoc recap with Henry Hugepex joining in. So I want to throw him a quick plug for that. When is any timetable on when NXT Revisited is going to be returning to the airwaves of the Questionable Endeavor Network?
Currently, I am looking at the second week in September.
Okay.
That might have been moved up considering my current situation, but we will see. It's really dependent on when I get some time, obviously with the new baby and everything like that. It makes it a little difficult, but I intend to have that show back up and running by at least mid-September, as well as I got a lot of work to do, because I'm also bringing us, of course, a glow stick, which will be coming out every Friday, I think is what we decided on there.
And they just got renewed for a second season, so you'll have even more to talk about down the road.
That's right. So really cool things coming down the pipeline there. If you don't know our release schedule, head on over to facebook.com/rundown wrestling and see our new banner picture, which is our release schedule. We might have a couple of extra things thrown in there. Obviously, the sit down is an every other week thing, so we might throw something in on those weeks that the sit down's not in, as well as maybe a couple special little episodes here and there. So we are still a work in progress here on the new management side of things. So we don't really have an outro, because we're not going to do that stupid fucking tired shit that we've been doing this whole entire time. So tune in next week.
Yeah, we will be back to shove more audio in your ear holes and more things. Oh, never mind. You get the gist.
Bye-bye.
See you next Thursday.
Just gotta get that little thing in there.
Have to. It's like my new thing. I can run all the amplifiers and stuff on it. If you want to just send me the file, it's fine.
All right, I'll just export it. All right, I think we're going to have a fight here.
Why?
Not you and me, but me and Adam.
Okay. Why?
Because I was pretty sure that his name is Evil Dis. He says
thought it was Evil Days.
Evil Days. Hold on.
Isn't it a chick?
No, it's a dude.
I thought it was Evil Days.
No,
I could be wrong.
Hold on. Let me get a title on this thing here. No. Okay. I'm gonna export that, and then I'm going to go and find his name, because Evil Dis is not his full name. Hold on. Evil Dis. No, I did not mean Evil Days. Yes, his name is Evil Dysfunction.
Oh, okay.
So his name would then shorten to Evil Dis.
Okay.
So, fuck you all.
I don't know where I heard it, but I thought I heard it was Evil Days. I was clearly wrong, though.
I mean, maybe
I'm about as wrong about that as Adam is about the cash-in. So,
There you go. It's the same guy, actually.
So he's pulling full-on co-ghost Sean, where he could watch the show, but he can't participate in the show.
Right.
Gotcha. Shit, if you wanted to switch off editing duty, I'd have done that. But at least we got rid of that fucking closing thing, and we got a new theme song, and so there's all that stuff.
We'll figure out what our closing is going to be, but
yeah, we'll get there.
Right now it's fine. All right, I am exporting. So, do you want me to
just throw Gmail over? Throw it in Gmail. It's fine.
I will. I was looking through what Google decided to translate on some of these things.
Oh God.
So the beginning of Adam's thing is completely normal. So then it goes to, all right, so elsewhere, the discussion topic for this week's program, given the current period roster situation on Raw and Snack Time, before any kind of dumb superstar shakeup, a plan on doing in the next couple weeks. You give her the next major pay-per-view is the Survivor Series in November. Give them, if they are probably going to do a brand versus brunch Survivor Series match. It's a brand versus brunch. What is your ideal Ross roster and SmackDown roster for a 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match? Brand versus brand, given the rosters as they are right now, going into SummerSlam. Finally, before I go, that Baron Corbin thing was bullshit, and you know what. Thanks, bye. Sal's was a little bit better because Sal is a mumble mouth.
Did he drop a hard N?
Nope.
Okay.
This starts off beautiful. This starts off beautifully. What's up, Jason in Troy? So apparently you're inside me. New leaders of the rundown. I wanted to call this week to talk about the story that everybody's talking about, some SmackDown last night, and that is Baron Corbin have cash in his Money in the Bank and eat any loss the Jinder Mahal. Thanks due a distraction by John Cena. A lot of people on Twitter and the rest of the internet wrestling community were pissed off and on fire that Corbin lost. How could they do that? How could they do that in the Money in the Bank? Guys, I'm agree with any of that. I think it was a shocking mobile. I think you doing it the right before or the show before SummerSlam, whiskey to take that flight out of the equation, since every internet smart already booked Corbin to cash in on Nakamura. Now, as far as why it happened, if he doesn't, please Vince backstage. I've been fancy. You know more if you lost his appreciation for Corbin. We'll never know the real story. But I think they made it work for the story. You know he's going to come out with a lot of piss and vinegar to go at Senna. It's SummerSlam. and now Jinder, and since he can have their match without any thought of Baird Corbin hovering over them. I love the idea of the Money in the Bank is not a guarantee. You have to make a smart decision, and Bear and Corbin did not do that. Talk to you guys later. So Sal is fancy. All right. We're almost done here, so let me get the old
I feel
Google
it. Yeah, we can probably end the broadcast.
I completely forgot that we were still broadcasting.